And we should be good to go. Let me double check everything's running. Make sure I didn't fuck up any of my settings, which I also do often. Looks good. Okay. Yep, everything's good. All right. So, again, where we left off, you guys had exited the underworld safely, only to discover the wreck of the underworld to Theros that you'd spent a little bit of time on. You found one survivor, Galen Desma's wife, who's mostly still uncooperative, which is really a shock. Aside from that, you also found Fabio deceased on the beach, having left you a short scribbled note trying to warn you about something perhaps. You wandered into sort of a strange inn called the World's Edge, sort of in the woods, not very far away from the sort of riverside beach that you landed on. The inn itself is filled with a lot of strange characters. There's not too many humans in here. Actually, there's only a couple. The one standout that I had pointed out is one of the ones at the bar, whose image I posted in there. And as you entered, you did spot your old friend Splish, seemed to be having some sort of interaction with a large, armored moose-like gentleman smoking a pipe, who noticed you almost immediately when you entered the tavern and sort of beckoned you over, while continuing to seemingly have some sort of back and forth with Splish.
Actually, one question about Splish.
Yeah.
When we encountered him before, did anyone... I can't remember if people had, like, speak with animal or anything like that.
Yeah,
Was that
tried.
ever...
I
And it
also
was just, like,
tried.
nothing, right?
Yeah,
It was-
none of that worked.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody had quite a bit of problems communicating with him. But he did seem to enjoy eating your stones. Anything else?
No, that's it. As far as I can think of right now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you guys, you entered the inn. Again, there's a few notable characters around. Nobody seems to really pay much attention to your entry. The place is pretty lively. Again, there was that one cat with a lute. It's obviously a bard of some kind, just singing extremely terribly. And the individual that beckoned you over, do you want to go and have a conversation with him? Or is there anywhere else you'd like to go here in the inn?
I think I'd be inclined to go over to the moose.
Crix is definitely gotta go over there.
Yeah, seeing Splish, I think Owen would go over as well.
Okay. Tacitus as well?
Yep.
Okay. So as you approach, he seems to be having, like he's nodding back and forth every now and then. You see Splish sort of like leaning back and forth, leans into him, gives you sort of the odd like Splish every now and then. The moose seems to be understanding him on some level. He's nodding slowly. Mostly he seems to be listening. He's not really saying anything back. As you approach, he lifts up his hand and just puts up one finger, like sort of asking you guys to wait a moment. And he nods a couple more times. Leans into Splish. All right, little fella. Thanks for the info. Let me talk to your friends here for a moment, if you don't mind. The little guy gives a splash, hops off, gives you guys a look, sort of like as he hits the floor in front of you. Looks like each one of you, and then just hops over towards the bar, hops up onto his stool and onto the bar top, and just sort of sits there.
Owen's gonna look at him and just look back at Splish and say, "You understand what he's saying?"
Oh, yeah, I understand what he's saying. It's a strange dialect I hadn't heard in a while, but yeah, I understand him well enough.
Interesting. I couldn't make any headway on what he was talking about before.
What language?
I don't know if there's a name for it. But, every now and then some travelers come through here, and we've had one or two of his kind. Not many.
Interesting.
So, what did he say?
Well, it seems he had quite a bit of an adventure. But, I'm more curious as to how the group of you arrived, as he was just starting to speak about you.
Well, we've had a pretty long journey to get here. Adventure is a word some might use as well.
Interesting, interesting. We don't see too many visitors from beyond the veil at this inn.
What is the veil?
Oh, you're not familiar? The Skola Vale, to the southeast. Nobody?
I wouldn't
No,
say
I
I'm
can't say.
particularly familiar with this area myself personally. I don't find myself on this side of Theros very often.
Back at the
Or
bar,
at all.
Splish was just handed a big bowl of rocks, and he is going to town. The gentleman in front of you, he stands up. He's very imposing. It's a little over 8 feet tall. He's got sort of runes gilded into his antlers, and you can see them also tattooed into his skin beneath his fur on most of his body. Stands up, reaches out a hand to you, Tacitus, first. He says, my apologies, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Sal Domina. I'm the proprietor of this joint.
I'll extend a hand and just say Tacitus.
Gives you
Tacitus Varo.
a firm grasp. Shakes your hand and does the same with each of you.
Owen.
Briar Belfont.
Must just called me Crix.
Crix. Well, welcome to the World's Edge Inn. What exactly can I help you with?
Well, I'd say we're desperate for a bed at this point in time.
Oh,
Did
you're
you
in
write
the
his
right
name down?
place.
It's just Sal, right?
Yeah, I'll type it into the chat for you.
Maybe some food and drink wouldn't hurt either.
Sal Domina. Well, absolutely. We can provide you with whatever you need. Now, don't worry about coin or nothing. We don't actually charge anybody coming through here. We have a pretty steady supply of everything we need.
Interesting. Does seem like there are folk from all over here.
Aye. Most of them wander in from the wilds. Every now and then we see a lean in from the north, but not too many of them come around these parts.
Tell us a little bit more about this veil you spoke of.
Skola Vale. Afraid I don't know much about it myself. I don't venture in that direction. I don't really venture in any directions anymore. Say, if you want to know more about it, you should talk to some other people within the inn here. They've all either recently been or are on their way back to the Vale.
I see.
Did he say he was the proprietor?
Yes.
Yeah. Elvin's just going to sort of like find a nearby chair and just collapse into it.
Okay. Just an empty table, or?
Yeah, just the nearest like empty table. Just collapse onto a chair.
Okay. He looks at the rest of you. He's like, y'all pretty exhausted, huh?
It's been a while since we've had a chance to rest.
Well, take all the
I think
time you
Tacitus
need.
is probably going to be just looking around the bar at this point.
Okay. For anything in particular, or just getting a lay of the land?
I think just glancing about.
Okay. Sal kind of. Go ahead, Chris.
No, if he's going to continue to talk,
Okay.
that's fine. I'll stay. Otherwise, I'm going to go over to Splish.
Okay. Yeah, just like as you go over there, he sort of stays in the vicinity. It's like, so where are you planning on heading from here? If you don't mind me asking.
Am I the only one left?
Well, we're all within earshot.
I think Tacitus is still there. He's just kind of glancing about, right?
Well, if he's still talking, I am.
Okay.
So it's everyone except Elwin.
Right.
Yes.
I assume that I haven't gone so
too
far
far
away
away.
that
Yeah,
I
you
can't
just found a
hear.
nearby table. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still within earshot. I'm just
I just wasn't sure if he was like directly asking
staring
me
at you.
that question.
No, he's still
um,
just sort of talking to the party.
yeah. I don't think we've completely decided on where our next destination is. At one point, it was the Phoenix Stairs.
Ooh, dangerous roads. Very, very dangerous. You sure you want to? What brings you to that location?
A few things.
Yes, a few things.
Oh, we're
Well,
not even
Still have
starting if
to,
that's where we're going.
we still have to evaluate some things before then.
I mean, can't be as bad as where we just came from.
most people
True.
here avoid the Phoenix Stair at all cost. I mean, just to get anywhere near the stairs themselves, you got to go through the Medusas.
Nah.
And
That
I
sounds
hear tales of
not
some
fun.
large monster lurks within the volcano.
I mean, we just came out of what was it, Narola?
Narona,
So, uh-huh.
you you quite sure about that?
Yes.
Well, technically, it was Agonas.
You
Goodness, Narona. It's all in the same brand areas. If it wasn't for friggin' Atrios
so
deciding that we didn't belong there,
back from the dead, are you?
well, we never really truly died.
Back from the land of the dead.
We sure are just talking about things here.
Yep.
It's Grix.
he
Oh gosh.
he picks up the pipe
Owen just
off his
face palms.
chair and gives a couple puffs there. He sort of squints at the group of you. Either you're very crazy or you're very lost, or both.
You know what? I've been told I'm crazy a couple of times.
I'd say both. I would say both.
I mean, I kind of know where I'm at.
Do
Sometimes.
we?
Well, your little friend over there says you were part of a crew. He sort of gestures over to Splish, who's still munching on those stones.
Yes, we was.
I'm sure you've heard of the Theros.
I have. Your little friend just told me that it's no more, that its wreckage is nearby.
Yeah, I guess anyone on the coast would be able to see it.
Well, we all saw the flash, whatever struck it. Weren't quite sure what that was. You have any more information on that for us?
Crix would just kind of shrug at this point.
Oh,
I don't think we know enough ourselves.
you have any theories?
Well, given that the fact that the Tarsaris is very large and big, who knows? Maybe a god struck it.
Nothing
He
short of divine intervention, I'm sure.
gives another couple puffs on his pipe. Like, interesting. Wow. Being you were a part of the crew, we thought maybe you might know a little more.
We've been separated for quite a while.
Oh. Well, I guess I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry you found your vessel in such a state.
It is a unfortunate event. We're also trying to figure out if any surviving crews around. So far, the only one that we've seen is Spliss over there.
And
Nizia.
Nizia.
Yeah, who is currently sitting at the bar on the opposite side of Splish, drinking away.
How long ago did you see this flash?
Oh, sometime early morning.
Today.
Yeah, today.
I see.
Say there was a bit of a shake to the ground as it happened. But you're the first we've seen aside from that little fellow over there.
Yeah, it's curious fate that we also arrived here.
Yeah, it's very curious, but I guess stranger things have happened.
Yeah,
Gives another
this is
puff of his
Theros
pipe.
after all.
When what was the state of what's his name? Fabio. Like he was dead, but like what were the exact details?
I mean, you found him dead. I don't think anybody really investigated his body.
He was just slumped against a tree,
Yeah.
sort of having bled out.
Yep, that's how you found him.
So we saw blood, though.
You
Yes.
saw a trail of blood that you followed to the tree, yeah, where he was just slumped against, having passed.
Mm.
Alan's gonna look at Sal and just say, Sal, would you be able to ask our friend here, and I gesture to Splish, what happened to the captain that was manning the ship?
I suppose I could. He steps over and sits down on the stool next to Splish, who's sitting atop the bar, so just eating stones. He kind of looks sideways at him. He goes, Splish? Say, little fella, your crewmates here curious what happened to the captain, you say?
Yeah.
They're curious what happened to the captain. You don't suppose you could give me any information, give them any insight? What's the captain's name?
Savas.
Savas. I've heard that name before. So, little fella, you got
Sure.
anything? He's currently like slowly inserting a very large stone into his mouth, but he gives it a big swallow, disappears into him. Nods his head a few times, sort of blinks. You see the little fins on the side of his body flap a few times. He gives another splash, splash. Sal just sort of pays attention very closely. You see him sort of squinting, noting all of his like mannerisms and so forth. Oh well, seems he had a bit of an untimely fate. He was struck by a beam of light from the sky. Nothing left.
That lines up with what Nazia said.
And everybody else that was on the ship at the time?
Little fella? Splish sort of looks to you, Elwin, and goes, Splash, Splash, wags his little fins a couple times, leans around, like you can clearly see him sort of changing his mannerisms every now and again. Sal sort of leans back. He says, well, little fella says there wasn't nobody else on the ship. Kind of strange for something so large.
Nobody? That seems...
Can you ask him if he was by himself when he was coming here? No one else on the crew was there as well?
He leans back into Splish. Huh? Anybody else, little fella? Were you by yourself? Another little couple of splish, splish, wags his fins, stops to put another stone into his mouth. Or he gives it one big gulp, and looks back up at Sal, shrugs almost with his fins. Splish. Little fella says he can't quite remember. He says he was on the ship for a while. He was conversating with the captain, this Savas, when everything changed. Everything was very dark and it became very bright. And he stumbled out a window and popped into the water and see the water done changed. And by the time he got back on the ship, the captain there, he popped up just in time to see him struck down, and he was cast off into the water. Doesn't remember much after that.
Did you
Oh,
see
very...
Fabio Splish?
He looks at you and goes, Splish? So, little fella doesn't seem to know Fabio.
I'll describe him. Little green guy,
Splish
orange outfit.
puts another stone into his mouth. And yeah, doesn't seem to recall this individual.
How very curious indeed. Well,
Is
thank
it
you for.
possible to insight splish?
Yeah, sure.
You can try. If you
I-
can read his mannerisms.
Yeah, that's the key. 22.
Yeah, he doesn't seem honest or dishonest. He is a blank slate. This little guy.
Can I make a different inside check?
Sure. What do you look for?
I want to inside check the moose. I want to see if he's been naturally curious of us or if he's more worried of us, like if something's been said.
Okay.
19.
I'd say what you noticed from Sal is he's definitely got a curiosity and he is asking a lot of questions. I'd say the best guess you can have is that he's more worried about the safety of the patrons here more than anything else, and if you guys might be bringing trouble with you.
Can I insight if Sal has been giving us all of the information that Splish has been giving him? If he's like leaving anything out?
Yeah, you can roll it. You want to see if he's being honest about what he's receiving from Splish?
Yeah, what he's translating to us, basically. 18.
It's hard to tell. Again, like Splish is almost impossible to read. He's just a strange little fish sort of creature. I'd say you don't know enough about him to be able to tell whether or not he's lying to you. He's all just like big, sort of imposing character, but for the most part, his demeanor has seemed uh, like pretty neutral. So,
Okay.
I mean, to your best guess, he's translating. Like you don't know if he has any reason to lie to you.
Gotcha. Owen's just gonna sort of like nod and say thank you for translating for us, Sal. Very appreciated.
Oh, don't mind at all. Don't mind at all. I'll say it's all quite strange.
Yeah, just another mystery for us to try and solve.
Well, again, we don't see much of his kind. He sort of gestures to Splish. Just totally made of Nick's flesh, you know?
Nick's flesh, you say?
Aye? You knew that, right? He's part of his crew. I assumed he's been on your vessel for a long time, right?
Well, we picked him up somewhere along the way, but it's hard to know anything about him when we can't really understand what he's saying.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
We've never seen a creature of his kind before either.
Well, I guess I'll let you all rest, unless you have any questions for me. Anything else I can help you with?
I think we'll definitely have questions later, but I think rest is at the forefront of all of our minds.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
How? Hmm. I guess how obvious is Sal's like worry about us? Like, would I also do an insight check?
You can insight it for sure, yeah.
Oh, this is gonna go well, definitely. An 8.
I mean, I'd say you can get a general pickup that he's
Cautious.
very cautious, has a lot of interest in the group of you. Whether or not it's anything out of the ordinary, maybe you just probably get the impression that this is maybe how he questions everybody that walks in, let alone individuals that he doesn't see very often, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Okay. I think Tacitus will speak up and say, "We're not very forthcoming. I guess if you believe what we've said about where we're from, you'd understand why we are a bit on guard."
Oh yeah, no, I understand. I not want to poke too much, just strange situations and all.
Yeah. You don't have anything to worry about us. We won't cause any problems here. If
No,
anything follows us, then we'll handle it.
I'll take your word for it. We do have our own measures of protections, but I try to keep my eyes open for anything out of the ordinary, just in case. But I won't fret you any further. If you need me, I'll usually be out here. He goes back and sort of sits in the big old chair that he's at. Grips his axe. He's like, I got my girl here if I run into any trouble, so I'm not too worried.
Is it possible for me to, like, I guess, subtly see if people have been, like, listening in on us?
Yeah, perception.
$11.
I mean, so like you were glancing about sort of as the conversation was happening too. So I'd say from what you've seen, you definitely saw a few glances in your direction from most of the individuals in here. Nobody seemed to pay you too much mind. Sort of once they saw you were speaking with Sal, they sort of put it aside. Uh, the only individual that really never paid you any attention is that sort of red garbed, human-looking individual with the blade on his back. He's just sort of been sitting at the bar, staring into his drink, sort of muttering to himself.
Okay.
Everybody else, sort of like they paid you a passing glance and just probably passed you off as any other traveler.
But no one's, like, from what I could tell, no one was specifically trying to listen to our conversation.
Right. Yeah. From what you can see, nobody. From what you can see or hear, nobody was trying to specifically listen in.
Okay.
So about rooms.
Oh yeah, just head on upstairs, find an empty room. We don't really have keys or anything like that. It's not your normal inn. But yeah, if you find an empty room, just go ahead and pop a squat, get yourself some rest.
All right.
You said you don't require payment.
No payment here. No payment here. I only seek to aid those traveling through the area. We don't see too many, so most people come through here are friends.
We appreciate it.
I don't know if that sits well with. I'd rather help if I can in some way instead of relying on purely on your generosity, though it is appreciated.
Oh well, I welcome anything you'd like to provide, of course.
Oh, curiosity. How does this? What would be the words? I can't think of the words now.
I think what Chris may have been trying to ask is, how do you, like, feed these people? How do you get the ale? Like,
Yes, more or less. Like, how does this place stay more or less afloat if things are free?
Well, he leans forward and gives another big puff of his pipe. I have some connections in the Vale. We help them with some things, and they provide certain things to us.
Seems reasonable enough to me.
Sounds good enough to me.
I'm no business person.
Leans back into his seat. Like, yeah, we get by just fine. It's nothing to worry about.
Can I make a history check?
Sure. What are you checking for?
I want to see if I know anything about the Vale.
Okay.
16.
Were you saying something else, Guda?
Yeah, I'll wait until after this.
Okay. So the Skull of Vale, from what you understand, is known to be very wild. It's rumored to have fey connectivity. A lot of satyrs are said to have been originated in the Vale itself. But for the most part, it's just it's a wild wood. It's very much a realm of Nylea, sort of the goddess of creatures and the woods and things like that. You know that there's a good number of satyrs, a good number of dryads, There's rumored to be sort of sects of druids that sort of reside in the Vale, never leave, have been there forever. And then just sort of like ancient creatures and things that you only hear rumors and stories about from travelers saying that they peeked into the woods and maybe one or two survivors of some massive fight with some strange beast they'd never seen before. But it's not a place too many people venture and come back into the world of Theros and give stories about. So the few stories that sort of roam around are more mythology than anything else. A lot of people sort of give most of it as just tall tales. Because of where it is, it's sort of it's blockaded in the south by Setessa. The Setessans themselves don't cross the barrier into the Vale. They themselves sort of have like a passing peace with Nylea, and the followers of Nylea tend to look at themselves as protectors of her realms. They only step foot in there if they absolutely need to for whatever reason. So the Setessans sort of blockaded, and Setessa is hard to get to anyway. So nobody really heads down there from the south. And I'd say what you know of the Leonin is that they're very fearful of the Vale. So they sort of stick to the plains. They occasionally, venture out of the plains and make lives for themselves in the manor of Theros, but none of them ever sort of seek the Vale, and they're really the only other way to get into it is aside from just going straight over some very dangerous mountain-like passes.
What about the river heading in?
The river's sort of the same thing. It's there's an area to the south where there's a bay. If you can see it on the map.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. You have to wrap around the city of Asphodel, which is a city of returned, essentially the undead, and the Despair Lands is just roamed by demons. That entire bay near an area called the Blood Tree said to spawn like monsters and creatures in the water and just wreck ships. So nothing really ventures into that area. Sailors themselves are mostly fearful of it. Again, there's a tale of every now and then like an adventurer pops in and says that they made it in and somehow made it out alive. But for the most part, nobody really heads in that direction. As far as what's east further is even more mysterious. The lands out there used to be settled by what was essentially now the city of Melitus. But at the time, it was ruled by a warlord who sort of kept that area to raise and grow creatures of war. Ever since, it's just sort of been abandoned out there and wild as well. Nobody really goes out there because there's said to be remnants of those creatures that still exist. And just the fact that between it and the rest of what is, like societal Theros, being Asphodel, the Despairlands, the Blood Tree, these very dangerous seas, nobody really goes out there, and nobody seems to have a care to because there's not much out there to go to.
Would I have any indication of if they take or use money here?
I'd say just, I mean, from you mean as far as like, would you have had any indication from your time outside of here, or just in your time inside the structure so far? Have you seen anybody doing anything like that?
Both?
Okay. I mean, this is sort of the first place that you would have seen like this. Some of these creatures you've never seen before, like especially Sal, you've never seen his particular like species before. So a lot of this is more or less unheard of, and definitely it would be very strange to Tacitus to begin with.
Okay.
Being not just Sal, but there's several other creatures in here that you didn't even know existed at this point, or had, if they existed, had sentience. Aside from the time that you've been in here, you haven't seen anybody exchange any currency. Sort of like he said, people seem to be sort of stumbling in and out of rooms upstairs and down the stairs. But you haven't seen any sort of specific currency exchanges.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. So, yeah, Splish is sort of just still there sitting, eating stones. I've given you some imagery, some of the other patrons. Again, you've got that Nyxborn Leonin. Every now and then his tail ignites in flame and just sort of burns for maybe a few seconds and then goes back out. That small fox-looking creature with the bow staff. He's sort of at his own table. He seems to be studying some sort of a scroll pretty intently. By the door is that small, sort of rat-looking creature, but obviously like a magic caster of some kind, maybe a druid. He seems to be studying a map. He's sort of just been there studying this map, looking very frustrated the entire time that you've been having this conversation. Every now and then, that cat-like bard gives off a howl, but for the most part is just playing the lute very badly. Aside from that, there's the fairy and the kenku. I'd say what you'd note of the kenku is it seems a little more about itself than most kenku. Some kenku are like very sporadic, sort of twitchy creatures.
Bird-brained.
Yeah, exactly. This one seems to be very much sensible and very. It's not what you'd expect from a normal kenku. It seems very about himself, and there's a fairy with him, and she looks sort of like a roguish type. And they seem to be sort of jovial and sort of laughing and conversing with each other. Behind the bar is that large sort of black bear, mostly just sitting and reading. Every now and then, somebody will come up to the bar, and they'll provide, drink or food or something, whatever is requested. They're the ones that provided that bowl of stones to Splish, but otherwise seem very disinterested in anything else happening. Aside from that, there's just a mix of creatures wandering about, and then again, that's sort of very solemn, somber-looking human at the bar that's just been muttering to himself. What would you guys like to do?
How loudly is he muttering to himself?
Very, very lightly. He hasn't really looked up. He's just sort of staring into his cup. You haven't seen him drink out of it at all.
If I were to focus my senses, would I be able to try and pick out a little bit of what he's muttering about?
You want to get closer to him and try to listen to him?
How far away is he?
On the opposite side of the bar from Splish, like 15 feet.
I doubt there's a way to get closer without being suspicious.
You mean take a seat behind him? There's tables and such scattered about in the bar.
Hmm. I'm gonna go up to the bar first and order an ale from the bartender.
Okay.
I guess when Elwin moves to, break away from Sal, I'm gonna turn to Briar and say, talk outside for a sec.
She'll tip her head curiously and nod. All right.
Okay.
And
So-
I'll make my way.
Two of you head outside. And Crix, what are you doing here?
I'm gonna go take a seat over by Splish, kind of pat him on the head, and just be like, "It's good to see you, my friends."
Sort of just inhaling a massive rock as you water sort of gargles it out over the stone that he is ingesting currently. Elwin, the bear, sort of looks up at you, glares at you just for a second, puts their book down, sort of walks up to you and just grunts and reaches underneath the bar and just pulls out a mug, sets it down in front of you, and it fills itself up with what looks like some sort of ale. Very light ale.
Kind of tilt my head at this and say, how fascinating.
Bear just gives you steps back, leans against the wall, and picks their book back up.
Do I see the title of the book he's reading?
Investigation.
Ooh. That's going to be +6, so 22.
Okay. So looking at the cover, it seems to have an etching of similar rune patterns to what you saw on Sal and his antlers specifically. There's no title on it,
Interesting.
but along the spine, there's a couple more of those runes as well.
But no title.
No, you can probably make the assumption that those runes are the title. Some translation, but you can't understand it.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the bear and just be like, Say, what language is that book in?
Bear gives closes the book, sort of dejectedly. What do you want to know for?
Just curiosity.
Not many people ask a lot of questions here. Why are you asking questions, friend?
I apologize if I've offended. There's absolutely no need to answer. As you can tell, I'm not from around here, so the customs I miss, not intentional.
Sort of glares at you for a moment silently. It's our family's language.
I see. I won't press anymore. Thank you for answering.
Nods and then goes back to reading. We'll pop to Tacitus and Briar as you step outside. The only individual outside is still that. I think I posted the image.
The guy with the mount?
Yes,
the turtle thing?
the Triton with the turtle. He's still out there. He seems to be adjusting the saddle and sort of like packing things from his bags into the saddlebags alongside of his turtle. Doesn't seem to be paying any attention to you two.
If he's not paying attention, I'm not gonna shout or anything like that. But I'm not gonna necessarily move away. As long as we're not standing right next to him, that's fine.
No, yeah, you can sort of step on the opposite side of the door.
Yeah. I guess I'll turn to Briar and say, did you get a good look at Fabio? Was there any foul play?
So
Did he
I
seem-
obviously didn't inspect him. So out of character for a second. I obviously didn't inspect him, but I knelt down in front of him, looked at him, and I
Yeah.
picked him up as well. Can I
Yeah, we also
do a
buried
past
him, right?
tense
Yeah.
roll to see what I remember?
Yeah, I'll allow it. I'd say in this case, you can just do an investigation.
Okay. $22.
Okay. I'd say maybe while you were burying him and sort of preparing him, you definitely noticed he had some severe bruising. Like he'd been fighting something or someone. You didn't find any sort of stab wounds or puncture wounds or anything like that on him. He didn't seem like he was killed like that. It might have been some sort of magical means that killed him, or just like a blunt trauma of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
But he was mostly just very badly bruised.
Okay. I will relay that to Tacitus.
And the blood?
Where did we see blood on him?
You didn't see blood on him. You saw it on the ground leading up to him.
Okay. So it wasn't his blood. At least not from what I could tell.
Not from what you saw. Yeah. And like I said, you didn't do too much of an investigation here.
Correct, yeah.
At the scene of the crime, so to speak. So yeah, I'd say more or less this is you thinking back on it and trying to review what you remember.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you didn't
How
necessarily
long
find
did
any.
we walk from the beach to this place?
About 5-10 minutes. It was a very short walk.
Okay. To Tacitus, then I'll offer, did you want to walk back there and look again?
It's like the middle of the day, right?
Yeah, it's still about mid-afternoon. It looks like, sort of looking up at the sun.
Sure.
Should we tell the others? I don't think we'll be too long.
I'll peek my head inside and look to see what Crix and Elwyn are doing.
They're both sitting at the bar. Crix seems to be having interaction with Splish.
Yeah, I'll dip. I'll go back in and mention to Crix that we're gonna head back out for a sec towards the I guess back towards where we beached. I guess the specific thing I would say is we're headed back to look at some stuff.
Yeah, Elwyn's probably close enough at the bar to hear this as well.
We should be back soon.
I just give Tacitus a nod.
And Crix. Are you with us, Farn?
Yeah, I'm just. I'm
Sure.
thinking.
No worries.
I'm probably just having like a non-conversational thing with Splish. So
So you just want to stay at the inn?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So
All
Crix and Owen are staying behind. Briar and Tacitus, you want to make your way back towards the beach?
Yes.
Oh wait. Did they ask us to come?
No.
I was saying that we're coming. I was saying that we're going.
Yeah.
I didn't specifically ask. I was just letting
Oh,
you know.
Well, where are you going? So you going to be back or what?
We'll be back in a few. I wanted to look at some stuff back where we found, and I'll like tilt my head towards what's
Do
her
you
name?
need someone with medical expertise?
That might be helpful.
All right, I could come take a look.
I'll stay behind.
Okay.
Where did Isaiah go?
She's just a little further down the bar. She's sitting very close to that sort of individual that's mumbling to himself.
Okay, so she's still here. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got a couple empty mugs in front of her already.
She'll probably be there a while.
Wait, why is she
Yeah,
need multiple mugs if they
It
refill?
refills.
You want to go
She's
check it out?
drinking multiple at a time.
You want to go check out what her situation is?
She's making endless car bombs.
She's triple fisting these drinks. I'm not gonna check her out just yet,
Okay.
but I'm just keeping like an eye on her.
Keep an eye on her. You see her sort of. She'll pick up a different one every now and then and drink from it. She's not drinking from the same one.
Do I notice any injuries on her? Like visible injuries?
No, you're close enough that you can sort of check her out. At least from how she's sitting, doesn't seem to be injured at all.
Okay.
We did also cast Cure Wounds on her.
You did heal her,
Okay,
yeah. She
you're
was in
right.
bad shape
Yeah.
when you found her at the beach.
Right.
Unconscious, even though you have taken in a lot of water.
Elwin's gonna grab his drink from the bar and sort of sit at the table that's near the guy and the human guy and her.
Okay.
Trying to get in sort of like within earshot.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna like take my greatsword off my back and just sort of rest it beside me.
Okay. The rest of you are leaving as Elwin sits down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Elwin, give me a perception roll if you're trying to listen to this guy.
Aye. All right, that's pretty good. Perception 19.
Okay. So we'll come back to that really quick. So the remainder of the party, you guys step outside and you begin to make your way out.
I'll fill Crix in on like what we were talking about.
Okay. Not like just a few seconds after you leave, you hear the door sort of like open and close again. Looking back, you don't see anything at first, but you hear a couple splash, splash, and a little pitter patter. Looking down, you see Splish just sort of following after you.
All right.
I don't know if Tacitus would think that Splish is suspicious, but I, the character, think he is.
I'll keep an eye on Splish. I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Sort of very quickly like runs and flaps his fins as he catches up with you. Stays very close to the group of you. It doesn't like acknowledge anybody. Just sort of looks ahead and like stays walking alongside with you.
All right.
Okay. So you're making your way down. You just want to sort of ignore him, let him follow along.
Yeah.
Okay. Crix and Briar as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch to see if he does anything. But yep.
Yeah, I'm keeping a side eye on him.
You just sort of while him back and forth. Every now and then he'll peer around, look in the woods, but aside from that, it seems fine.
All right.
So we'll pause. We'll jump to Elwin really quick. Elwin, listen to this guy mutter. It's sort of like intangible muttering. Every now and then, you make out something about a battle. He'll give like an increase in volume every now and then. He'll sort of like twitch and look off to the side, or look to like sort of snap and look around behind him, sort of over you, not even acknowledging anything or anybody in the room in particular, just like as if he's afraid of something. And then sort of get his senses back about him, sort of shake his head and look right back into his mug. But he's not really saying anything that amounts to anything. He's just sort of ramblings and mutterings that are unintelligible.
Interesting. Okay. I'm guessing he doesn't seem very stable.
What do you mean by stable? Like mentally?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. He's, if you were to guess, you'd say he's probably experienced some kind of trauma. Maybe he is. Seems to be extremely unsettled.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna leave him be for now. Trying to see if there's anybody else here I want to talk to.
Sure.
We can go back to the others while I think about this.
Okay. So the rest of you, you make your way down the path. You can clearly hear like the river, and you can pass through the trees and easily find your way back. You find your way back to the beach. You see that sign, the same sign, the World's Edge Inn sign, but the entirety of the wreckage of the Theros is gone. There's nothing left. The river itself is calm. Everything seems to have disappeared.
Oh boy, I think is what Tastus is gonna say.
Splish
Yeah,
waddles over to the water and just starts splashing around in it.
probably not great.
First things first. Where's the body?
We buried
Well,
it, didn't we?
You did, yeah.
we before we go as far as exhuming anyone, I would like to investigate the area where we found Fabio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would suggest that as well.
So looking around, all of the blood trails, everything seems to be gone. None of that remains. It's sort of hard to find the specific location where he was.
I'm gonna do a survival check.
Okay, go ahead and roll it.
Da da da. Nat 20, 29.
So looking around, you notice this very specific absence of your own footprints. Any other signs of Fabio's grave is still there, and everything that you sort of dug and left is still there. It remains. Aside from that, like you're not seeing any footprints of your party reaching the shore, where you had found Nazia passed out. All of that sort of sign is gone. It definitely piques you as very strange, almost like it was covered up intentionally, or maybe there's some other means of what happened here. But everything seems pristine, like you're the first one that stepped on this beach in forever.
I just look about curiously. And I'm gonna go over to the gravesite, and since I can't find where he originally was laying, I'm gonna start digging this up.
His grave.
Briar's gonna pinch the bridge of her
Yeah.
nose and not do anything.
So
So go
you
over to Craig.
so you're digging away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Tastus will probably keep looking around, like in the same area, but just maybe more closely looking at the ground, I guess.
Okay.
Like looking for the tree that he was slumped against.
You can do nature or investigation.
Well, both are -1, so you know. 9.
Okay. Yeah, just looking around, it's hard to say. All these trees look the same. Again, there's no blood trails to follow now. There's no footprints or anything left behind, so you can't make out one tree from the other.
While Crix is digging, can I watch to see if there's any other presences around us?
Yeah, roll perception.
24.
You don't notice anything in the trees specifically. Looking out at the water, you do notice a strange, sort of like black shadow, something maybe lurking underneath the river's deep under the water. Very still though, not
How
moving.
large?
Pretty big. Sort of gazing about and sort of getting an idea of it. It's very hard to see with the like current of the river, but you can make it out. It looks to be maybe 100 feet wide.
All right.
But you have no idea what it is. If it's like a wreckage of some kind, maybe remnants of the Theros. If it's something alive or living, it doesn't seem to be moving. And Crix, you
And
do finish digging at this point. Fabio's body is still there.
Alright, I'm gonna pull him up and kind of brush off some of the dirt and whatnot, and I'm gonna do an actual exam.
Okay. You want a
Sir.
medicine?
Yep, 21.
Okay. Again, it seems like he's got quite a bit of bruising. Multiple on his head, a few on his chest, his arms as well. It seems like he was at least in some kind of a fight, but you don't see any open wounds or anything like that.
I'm gonna kneel over, I guess where Crix is examining Fabio's body.
Okay.
Like just watch as he's doing it.
Okay. And Briar, did you want to say something else as well?
no, I'm just keeping an eye on the shadow.
Okay. Yeah, it's just very still, lurking under the water. But yeah, Crix, as far as like what else you can see, there's no like puncture wounds or stab wounds or anything like that. No like charring or scorch marks or anything that would indicate he was struck by some sort of a spell.
And there's no blood like on his clothes or anything like that.
No, his clothes are like very dirty and soiled at this point, but
Yeah.
you don't see anything that would indicate that there was any blood.
So I see bruises, and that's about it. Checking like bone areas and whatnot. Everything seems intact.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he has any broken bones.
The bruising, is any of it big enough to like have caused like
Hemorrhaging or
the-
internal bleeding.
Yeah, the potential is there.
Well, I wasn't gonna ask that. I was gonna ask more like, is it like the bruising isn't like, oh, his like head is caved in,
No.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing. All his bone structure seems like intact.
Okay.
Could have been bruising from like getting tossed around a ship.
Says Elwin, who is present right now.
And nothing around his mouth.
Looking particularly at his mouth, you don't see anything. There's no blood. Again, he's like very dirty at this point and dried out, but doesn't seem like you're looking for like poison or something like that.
I was more seeing like, is it possible the blood that it was on the ground was like internal
cough it up?
bleeding?
Yeah.
Coughed
No,
up.
nothing like
anime
that
style?
around his mouth.
How far away did we bury him from where he was?
You buried him very close by, right at the edge of the tree line.
And that was very close to where he was, right?
Yes. Yeah, you didn't venture too far.
Looking about, can I kind of try going my memories to pinpoint?
You can guess, but there'd be no way to like 100% verify.
I'm gonna take a random guess. I'm gonna put him down back in the grave and head over to where I think he was.
Okay.
I'm gonna use an item I have in my bag, similar to the great bag of tricks. I have a pearl power. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna restore a slot back. I'm gonna restore a 3rd level spell.
Okay.
And I'm gonna cast it And I'm going to cast Speak with Plants.
Okay.
And I'm going to look at the nearest tree where I think about that he was. I'll go,
Excuse me. Nature. Tree. I wish to have a small conversation, if you would please indulge me.
You hear everything in the area sort of whisper back and forth, specifically like, should we talk? Should we speak to him? Do we trust him? Is he one of them? Is he with them? The from what Briar and Tacitus see, you see Crix obviously like talking to a tree, and suddenly the trees begin to like rustle and almost groan around you.
All right.
Crix, you
This is not the
continually
weirdest thing that's happened, so you know.
you still like continuously hear like they are obviously arguing about whether or not they should talk to you.
If it is something that you fear or something of that nature that is from nearby, know that I am not accustomed to this area. I wish just to have a better understanding of what's happened to my compatriot, the one that I just dug up over there that was over here earlier.
The muttering sort of stops, and then all at once they sort of talk from all around you, and sort of whisper at you. How do we know you're not with him,
Who is Hims?
the cloaked one, the vile one?
Did you
Trigger-
say the vial?
Yes, they said vile.
The vial? You mean the one that belongs to Skolo or something?
Belongs to what?
Skolo?
Skola,
Skola
like the
Val?
veil?
Yeah.
It did not come from the veil. It came from beyond.
I'm not sure who you speak of. The only one that I might know that you speak is a trickster, but I don't know if that's who you're talking about. If
They
it
start
is,
like muttering amongst each other again. You hear like, he lies. He's a liar. He's one of them. He's with them. We can't trust him. Don't speak to him.
I am not with anyone's other than myself. I am a druid.
Prove it.
What would you like me to do? Turn into an animal?
Prove you are not of him.
I mean, I don't know what you want to do. I'll pick up some leaves and stuff and use Drewcraft and create like a crown and be like, that good.
Roll persuasion. Tacitus and Briar, you're just seeing the most insane thing going on.
20 plus 1, 19, 20. Goddamn.
They again begin muttering to themselves like, he's of the trees. He's of the plants. He can't be one of them. He can't be with them. It quiets down for a moment. They seem to stop muttering amongst themselves. Primarily, even though there's still a couple every now and then, like distrusting sort of groans and whispers from further in the woods for the most part. The ones directly near you here seem to be a little more trusting of you. What do you want to know, traveler, if you are not of him?
Well, I would like to know if you've seen my compatriots, the one that's now not alive, wandered upon the shore here. If you've seen him with another, that's possibility.
He was killed by the cloaked one that stepped forth from the light.
You speak of this cloaked one. Who exactly is him?
He came from beyond. He is of him.
Who is him? I'm sorry. I don't know who this individual that you speak of, and now you're telling me that he killed a compatriot of mine.
He is a liar.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a role, but I'm assuming they're talking about that trickster god, the one that I spoke to.
Do you want to ask them anything else?
What are they
Can I
saying,
make
Crix?
a history knowledge just to remember this god's name?
Which one are you talking about?
The
He's
one
talking
that I
about
spoke
Phonox.
to when I had that dream. The one that asked me if I would
It's
possibly be
Phonax.
Oh, Phonax, the
Phonax.
god of deception.
Yeah,
Sure.
Phonax. My history is a 24. So
Okay.
I would ask him, is the one that you're speaking of known as Phonax?
We know no names. He is of lies.
Phonax is known for trickery.
So what are they saying, Crix?
It's some random cloaked figure killed him. Oh.
Oh, perfect.
So apparently some cloaked figure appeared out of the blue and killed them. They keep mentioning that it's someone from
Did
another
they
place
actually see where the figure came from?
that came from the light or something.
Which is presumably when the Theros was struck.
They keep mentioning someone of lies.
Did
Where-
anyone we see at the inn wear a cloak? Like, that would be an in-character question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in cloaks. You know, a lot of creatures in cloaks. Nobody in particular that looked like ominous or anything like that. But like any travelers, like there's many travelers are in cloaks.
I'll ask him really. I'll ask him two things. First, where did the cloak figure go after murdering my compatriot?
Into the sea. To the sea.
Back into the sea. Second thing, what happened to the original scenery here? The footprints, the blood.
It is lies.
His lies?
It is lies.
Whose? His? Or something he had normally?
His lies.
Browns.
Sorry, I actually can't hear what you're saying. Are you
Oh,
saying it's lies or his lies?
His lies.
Okay.
Do you know if he's still in the water?
Always somewhere. Watching.
Perks just kind of backs up a little bit and kind of eyes like towards the water.
You see, at this point, you see Splish Throw swimming out towards that dark shape that Briar has been eyeballing.
Oh boy.
Flesh, you should come back.
No, let's see what he does.
He looks back at you and is just like splish, and then disappears under the water.
God damn it.
Sounds like classic Splish behavior.
I'm gonna walk over closer to the shore, and I'm assuming Splish is so small that we can't really track him beneath the water.
Yeah, he's tiny.
Yeah.
Even if you went out there
Um,
swimming looking for him, it'd be tough to find him.
Before anything else happens, really quick, I'm gonna look to the trees and goes, that little fellow that just went in the water, did he come before or after my patriot was murdered?
Always. They suddenly like stop short as they're sort of explaining him. Run.
She's the one in
She
us.
approaches.
Something's coming.
You said Briar's ahead of me?
Yeah, Briar walked up to the riverbank, right?
Yeah, sure did.
So
So Crick
you see
said,
the water level sort of like lurching. Where that shape was, it's obviously very like slowly growing.
Oh boy, I'm gonna back up.
I'm just gonna yell move and like say back to the inn.
Do you all turn around and run away?
I'm going to like try and keep my eyes on whatever is that way.
Keep an eye on the water.
Yeah, like glance back as we're moving.
Okay.
I move in a weird way. What I mean by this is I'm going to turn quickly and start running. And as I get towards Briar, I'm gonna do something weird. I'm gonna go on all fours, go like between her legs, and I'm going to instantly turn into a giant elk, and I'm gonna book it towards the end.
Oh my god. The
So
visuals on that
Crick
is
crawls
crazy.
on all fours at you.
As if
Goes
this couldn't
almost
get any
like
stranger.
diving
my
between her legs and turns
Turns
into an elk and
into an elk.
goes.
Mind you, I don't think Briar's very tall, so it's a very interesting
Yeah,
visual.
no,
Yeah.
she's not.
And you probably didn't really see it coming, so.
No. Came up behind me.
Just blindsided.
So Tacitus, Crix turns into an elk and carries Briar pretty fast through the trees. As you continue running, you know you're losing sight of the river as you disappear into the trees and start moving back towards the inn. But you do see that shape sort of like grow and linger, and you also see Splish sort of like pop up out of the water, bounce in the sand a little bit, like get to his feet and start running after you guys.
little troublemaker.
God.
Uh,
Since I'm not running, I'm getting a ride. Am I able to just full turn around and like watch as we're running away?
Yeah, again, your vision is starting to get obscured by the trees, and the tree line
By the
is
trees?
disappear
Okay.
further in. But you can definitely see that shape is like still slowly growing, in almost like a spherical type nature. Tacitus, you want to keep running, or do you want to like stop and watch this thing?
How far away are we?
It depends on how far you want to run. Like, you guys, I'd say you probably went about 30 feet into the tree line, and Tacitus and Briar about 60.
Is the elk big enough to carry two people?
You're a minotaur. It's probably big enough to carry two people. One person in a minotaur. Crix might have some back problems a little afterwards. You could try though.
You can probably move as fast as the elk.
The elk is 60.
Yeah, that looks fast.
Yeah, I'm
That's
only
just this
40.
what, 40? That's
Yeah.
close.
The
close.
giant ass elk.
But it's also
big.
a 5-minute walk,
Yeah.
so it's probably like a 2-3 minute run.
Yeah, it's a very quick run for sure.
I want to stay within 60 feet, I guess.
Okay, you just want to like stop in the trees and keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna stay within 60 feet, and I'm gonna use Divine Sense.
Okay. The essence that you get from the water out there. Let me pull up the details on Divine Sense just so I can double check.
I'll just read it
Sure.
from my block. As an action, you can detect good and evil. Until the end of your next turn, you can sense anything affected by the Hallow spell or know the location of any celestial fiend undead within 60 feet that is not behind total cover.
Let's see. So you'd pick up something powerful, for sure. It's not any of those things. It's not undead. It's not celestial. It's not anything of that nature. But it is very, very powerful for sure, and you can feel the power of it as you reach out with the sense.
Do I get a sense of good or evil?
Both and neither.
Nice.
It is. Yeah, it's very bewildering. But it reaches like an apex. As you're watching, you see Splish sort of like turn around and face it, give off a couple like splish, splish, wags his little fins a little bit, gives it like tilting nature, the same sort of like weird communication you saw with him and Sal, and then start running back through the trees. Like in your general direction, doesn't seem to exactly notice you though. As he disappears into the trees, you see that shape start to like slowly mellow back out and flatten out, disappearing under the water. At this point, I'd say Briar and Chris, you guys probably have arrived back at the inn.
Oh my gosh.
Splish sort of like waddles past you, Tacitus.
Does it look at me?
Nope, just keeps running off towards the inn.
I'm gonna let it go ahead.
Okay, you gonna follow him though?
Tacitus
I'm gonna
stealth
wait.
vision. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait like until I guess it's out of eyesight ahead.
Okay. Yeah, he just disappears. He finds that path and just keeps keeps on shrugging his little splish legs. Doesn't look back or anything like that. Just keeps going. And as you follow along, you can sort of make out the inn in the distance. Crix, are you staying in elk form, or what do you guys do when you arrive?
When we get close to the lodge, I'll probably stop and kneel down so Briar can get off.
Yeah, I'll get down.
I guess as I'm moving, I want to watch. I want to look for the footprints that we made heading towards the shore. Like, I guess
Okay.
along this, I'm assuming there's like a trail through the
Yeah.
forest that we went through, right?
There's not much of a trail through the woods, but there is like a pathway that you reach after you like walk through the, I'd say probably about 70, 80 feet off of the beach line.
Yeah.
There's a path that leads
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
mostly
inn.
just looking to see like, is there any obvious signs of like footsteps disappearing? Or like
Not that you
are
can see.
traces being like removed?
Currently, not that you can see. You can see, like, as you reach the path, there's a lot of footprints going back and forth. You can clearly make out your own. And nothing seems to have been changed or disappeared.
Okay.
And Crix, did you retain your elk form or did you drop out?
I'll probably wait at least a minute in it before dropping it.
Yeah. Splix, Splix. I literally combined Splish and Crix. Splish waddles up to you and stops for a moment, sort of like looks at the two of you. Stops about like 15 feet away, looks at the two of you. Doesn't really say anything, just sort of like glances back and forth. Tacitus, you want to move up and rejoin, or you want to hang back?
Yeah, I'm gonna move up. If I see Splish,
Mhm.
I'm going to try and grab him.
Well, I was gonna crouch down and offer a handout to Splish and ask him to come here.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, he starts approaching Briar. Tacitus, do you want to try and grab him?
I can see Briar holding out her hand.
Yeah. You basically, like, as you're approaching to grab, I'd say Briar is.
Yeah, I'm going to grab him.
Okay.
No, good.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't see you coming. He's sort of like approaching Briar, so I'm not going to have you roll on anything. But as you grab him, he's like, splish, splish, splish. You feel him like struggle a little bit, like at a surprise.
I'm not gonna like try and hurt him immediately, but I am going to like firmly grasp so that
Okay.
he doesn't escape.
He's very like slick and slippery. It's like hard to keep hold of. You feel him like he's like struggling. You definitely have to like use both hands to try and keep him in your grasp.
Yeah. I'm gonna relay what I saw, which I guess
I mean, I saw part of it. I didn't see it go back down.
You didn't see
Yeah.
you didn't see Splish like interact with it like
Correct.
Tacitus did. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. And I was gonna bring up the divine sense thing. I think this, whoever or whatever this Nyxborn is, could talk or could communicate with whatever was in there.
Briar, you see Splish like open his mouth real wide and bite down on Tacitus's finger. Tacitus, give me a sleight of hand check. See if you can hold on to.
18.
Okay, yeah, he bites and you feel a little twinge of pain. Doesn't do any damage to you. He doesn't seem to have any teeth of any kind. Um, but you feel him like attempt to bite into you. It surprises you a little bit, but you're able to maintain your hold on him. He continues to like struggle.
Splish, you understand that that's concerning to us, right? That something was potentially going to attack us, and you were able to talk with it.
He
Do you understand?
he's like struggling like a lot. He looks at you and he reaches his fins out towards you, like the ones that aren't like grasped by Tacitus. Just gives you splish, splish.
Are you going to run away if Tacitus lets go?
Still gives you like very almost like more and more panicked, like splish, splish.
Crix is gonna walk up and put his arms around.
So you're not an elk
Splish.
anymore?
No,
Okay.
I said minute, so
Gotcha.
the way it
Okay.
dropped. Yeah, I'm gonna walk up, put my arms around Splish, and be like, "That's this. I got him."
I'll let him have it.
I'm holding Splish, kind of firmly, but not like in a way like aggressively, almost like a hug, and kind of like back away.
He's still struggling, and he sort of like turns himself towards Tacitus, and he like squints at you. For the first time, he looks kind of angry, and he's like throwing his fins out, sort of angrily towards you, Tacitus.
I'm just not even gonna like make eye contact. I guess I'll like look at him and then look at Crix.
All right, we should bring him inside to Sal and see if he can.
Yes,
translate.
let him talk to the one that understands.
His fins sort of slap at your hands, Crix, and he points at your bag.
Give him a rock.
I'll give him like kind of like a head pat before I put him down, and I'll go in my bag and I'll give him a couple of rocks.
Okay. The first one he like takes and he chucks right at Tacitus. Hits you in the knee, Tacitus. Doesn't do any damage, but strikes you in the knee. The other one, he like looks like he wants to throw it, but he pops it into his mouth and munches it. And he sort of like spins around very quickly and grudgingly like marches inside the inn.
All right, following Splish into the inn.
Yep.
Okay. So for a moment, so Elwyn, you've been kind of hanging out in here for a while the party has been going on and doing anything. Did you want to have any interactions here within the inn?
I did. There was one I was curious about, and it was the rat-like creature with the map thing, the scroll or whatever. What is it doing while I've been sitting?
So he's got one long piece of scroll with, like you can clearly see through it. It's almost translucent. You can see through the opposite side. It's some sort of like scribbled map, almost looks like a treasure map, like kind of like it's got sort of lines drawn out, landmarks, very like crudely drawn in, with a couple different like X's and circles on it. You see, like he sort of like spins it around a few times. You saw him for a minute pull out another scroll and it seemed like he compared one to the other, roll the other one back up, tuck it into his pack. It's on his back. But seems to be like trying to decipher something.
Is he sitting alone?
He's standing just by himself. He sort of has that leaf sprout above him that's almost like for shade maybe. And he's just sort of like been standing there. He's not really saying anything or making any noise. He's just going back and forth. He looks very focused on this map.
Okay, so is there anybody who looks sort of unoccupied at the moment?
I'd say that Nyxborn Leonin is he's sort of sitting just by himself. He's a very like imposing character, but he's doesn't seem occupied with anything. He's sort of just sitting on his own drinking. Aside from that, everybody's either in conversation, like with another or with a group.
Okay, so the Leonin is sitting alone.
Yeah.
And
Again, your guy muttering to himself is sort of unoccupied, but otherwise unresponsive to anything that you've seen. He hasn't really noticed or tried to interact with anybody or speak with anybody, including the bartender.
interesting. Okay. I think I'm gonna go up to the rat-like creature. And I'm just gonna sort of approach and say, hello there, friend. Do you happen to have a moment?
He doesn't seem to notice you. Like he's still just struggling to look at this map, and he's got his face real close into it. He pulls it back every now and then.
Do I see what's on it?
Looking down, it definitely seems like it's like there's a couple landmarks on it. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of information on it, so you can't really tell what he's been trying to decipher all this time. There's what looked to be like looking down, you can definitely make out the river that you assume he came in on. There's mountains on both sides of it, and little images of what look like trees scratched in. Again, it's like a very crude, almost like chalk-like drawing, like black chalk drawing. There's a couple X's further up to the north on the map, and a couple big circles with one X and one triangle inside of them.
Assuming I've seen a map of Theros before, do I recognize any of the circled landmarks?
No, you have no idea what you're looking at. You can assume based on the river that this is where you currently are, and that whatever's X to the north is likely, like it could be in the vicinity of the Phoenix Stairs or in the Oreskos Plains where the Leonin reside. Anything to the south is likely either Setessan in the woods or School of Vale.
Okay. So he didn't really pay me any attention.
It seems like he didn't even notice you. Like he's so wrapped up in what he's doing there, he didn't seem to notice like anybody even said anything to him.
I'm gonna sort of like kneel down, and sort of look at him.
Still just like
and
focus on this map.
And then I'm just gonna stand up and say, "Well, looks like you're busy."
At that, you see him like he stops and he looks around like he heard something, then just goes back to like looking at his map.
I let out a sigh and just say, "I'll try again later." Does the Leonin dude have a drink in front of him?
He does.
Okay, I'm gonna walk over to him with my drink in hand.
Okay.
And sort of take a seat at his table and say, "Hello, friend. Do you mind if I sit here for a moment?"
The Leonin himself, like most of his body is of that Nyx celestial like energy. Like, very little of him is physical. His entire like right arm and right side is that celestial energy. Most of it is like a dark bluish purple. His arm specifically has like a green to it. His left arm looks like it's partially petrified. It actually seems like it's somewhat turned to stone. It still has some of that Nyx celestial energy passing through it, though. His face as well is, for the most part, like most of it's physical, but there's a good 20-30% of his face on the right side that's celestial in nature as well. Obviously a Nyxborn of some kind. He looks up at you and just sort of gives like a low growl at first. It's like, "Can I help you?"
Well, I'm currently just seeking some information.
About what?
And, well, you see, I'm not really from around here, and I had some interest in Skull of Vale. It's been mentioned to me, but I don't really know much about it, so wanted to see if someone more knowledgeable might be able to fill me in on some things.
Never been. I don't go there.
Is there a reason why?
I don't trust them.
You don't trust them?
No.
And who would they be, exactly?
If you know that little about the Vale, why do you want to go there?
Well, I don't necessarily want to go there, but I am curious about it and why people avoid it. Better to know about dangerous things ahead of time.
Sort of takes another drink out of his mug, sets it down, leans in towards you. How'd you get here?
Oh, well, that's certainly a story.
You didn't
Well,
come through Leonin Plains?
No.
Come through
The
the
river
mountains.
the river just east of here. Is it east or west?
West.
West. The river just west of here.
Hmm.
Let's just say we were dropped into it.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you, the Skull of Vale is infested with Fae. They're likely
The Fick.
rob you, kill you, set your body adrift, or worse.
Trickster types.
I wouldn't call them tricksters, no. Deviants, devils.
I see. And let's say someone wanted to travel to the Phoenix Stairs. Would they need to go to the Skull of Vale to do so?
No, stairs to the north. I've been there. Sort of gestures to his arm. Got a little souvenir to remember it by.
Did that happen at the Phoenix Stairs?
Yeah. Entryways infested by Medusa and Gorgon. Couples particularly nasty ones. I didn't
How
quite
far
make
in
it to
did
the
you?
stair.
Oh, I was about to ask him. How far in did you manage to make it?
Not very far. I could see the edge of the stair as it led into the volcano, but even though I slew many of the beasts, they managed to cause me some injury. I had to retreat before I became fully petrified. You know, you look at even those creatures in the eye just for a moment, they can turn you to solid stone.
I see. Was there any particular trick to slaying those beasts?
They don't like their reflections.
Their reflections. How curious.
Keep in
Can they
mind, though,
petrify themselves?
they can petrify themselves. Gorgons are another story. Gorgons, you just gotta kill them. But they can't petrify you like the Medusas can. They also got their minions, though. Those that been petrified, turned to stone, and left within their lairs. Over time, become slaves to them.
I see. Do you know what lays at the top of the Phoenix Stairs?
A great many things. The mysterious portal, defended by otherworlders. Obviously, the Temple of Nykthos that I had hoped to reach so I could go home.
I see. Well, I ask mostly because my party and I may be headed potentially to the Phoenix Stairs, so this information is very helpful.
What do you want from the Phoenix Stair, traveler?
I need to double check my notes. I forget what exactly Savas told, like what exactly the message was that we got.
You're trying to get to
Trying to look
Nyx.
back.
I'd say what you know is that the access to your father is behind some sort of seal that needs to be destroyed.
What exactly did we? What exactly was the message that we got though? That's what I'm trying to remember.
Let me.
About climbing the Phoenix Stairs.
I had to go through my notes to get the exact message, but it was basically the gist of it was you had to ascend and enter the realm of Nyx uh, and Mount Hyastos to destroy a seal.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna just look at him and be like, well, as you can tell, we've been through a little bit of an adventure.
It's just you for the
And-
moment. The rest of the party has not re-entered yet.
Yeah, but I assume like he saw all of us together.
Potentially, yeah.
So I say my party and I, we've been on a little bit of an adventure, and one potential next step of that adventure may lead us to Nyx.
Not
Whether
likely
we
you
can make it
survived the
or not.
journey.
Yeah, it's sounding more dangerous the more I learn.
If you can
Of
make
course,
it
we
through.
haven't.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, of course, we haven't fully decided if we're going to take that step or not.
If you can make it through the Misty Pillars, through the Medusa, yeah, ascend the stair inside the volcano. Inside there is a great dragon. Resided there for, good God, I don't even know how long. If you can make it through the volcano, through or past it, you'll find the entry to Nykthos. But once you reach the temple, you gotta face a god trial.
Sounds rather perilous.
Well, I didn't even make it through the first stage of this, and I do fashion myself quite the warrior. Maybe if you have friends, you can do a little better than I did.
Are you planning to still try and go home?
No, I've given up that path. I've been down here for quite some time, and I mean to die here.
I see. Forgive me, how rude of I. I did not ask your name.
Fel. Fel
What is it?
Haro.
Fail?
Fel. I'll type it in for you as well.
Okay. Fail. I got it. I give him a little nod and say, Phil. I give him a nod and say, the name's Elwyn. Elwyn Tempest.
You get a strange sense about you, Owen.
Oh,
That's
well,
blade you carry as well. He sort of gestures to your greatsword.
new acquaintance of mine.
Every now and then we get something Sal called outsiders through here. He gestures to the individual that's like muttering at the bar. I mean, that's one of them outsiders right there. You wouldn't happen to be one of those outsiders, would you?
Not that I know of.
Interesting.
Don't know how exactly you define these outsiders, but don't know if I would consider myself the same as him. And I look over to the guy.
Forget I said anything. It's just amusing.
Yes, well, I'll let you get back to your drink. Thank you very much for this conversation. It was very helpful.
Good luck to you, Owen. If you decide to ascend the stair, I likely won't see you again.
That's very fair. And then I'm gonna get up and just walk back to my original table.
So as you get up, the door opens and you see Splish come barging in. Looks like pretty angry. He sort of shoved the door with his fins, squeezed himself inside, and begins like marching towards the bar. Again, this is the first time that you've seen Splish look anything just like but blank. Definitely, his eyes are like squinted up. The way that he's like moving is a little more aggressive than his usual like absent-minded nature. And yeah, he seems, as pissed off as a little weird, inky creature can look.
I sort of tilt my head at this and look at him.
The rest of the party, you guys followed him in, right?
Was the Triton outside when we got back?
No, there was nobody outside.
Yeah, I'll be following in last then.
Briar and Crix, are you guys following Splish inside?
Yes.
You are muted.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yep, sure am. Yes, I am followed Splish in.
Okay. So yeah, when you see Splish, he hops up first onto a bar stool and then back up onto the bar top. You see him sort of like slap his flippers down a few times, give off a couple like splish, splish. The bear sort of looks at him. The rest of the party sort of stumbles in afterwards as well. With Tacitus coming in last. You see the bear sort of again just like reach under the bar, pull out a bowl filled with stones, and slide it over to him. And he sort of plops down, sort of frustratedly, and begins munching on these stones one at a time.
As we walk in, I want to, because where's Sal?
Sal's still just sitting, smoking his pipe. Sort of like he sees you guys move in and not see you, but he seems to just keep an eye on everything.
I want to approach Sal first, before going to Splish at the bar,
Okay.
and ask, we just had a little incident, and I was wondering if you would be able to help us understand Splish again.
Looks like the little fella's a bit upset. What kind of incident did you have?
It was down at the beach, about 5 minutes down.
Tacitus and Crix, are you guys also with Briar?
I would have gone over if I saw Briar moving, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Elwyn turns around and pretends he doesn't know them. No, I am sitting at my table though and just like watching carefully.
Okay. What were you asking, Briar?
No, I just answered his question.
Yeah, did you want to ask him anything? Or?
Oh, yeah, I asked him if he would help us translate Splish.
Well, I suppose I can. He seems like he's not very receptive. Splish is sort of just like very dejectedly shoving stones into his mouth. But yeah, if you want to get him to come over here, I'll as long as he's willing, I'll talk to him.
All right, fair enough.
Goes
Tacitus,
back
are
to
you
smoking his pipe.
okay hanging back from Splish for a moment?
I'm gonna just squint at her.
I'm going to try to persuade him to come over here.
And
Do we want?
All right. I'm going to approach Splish at the bar.
okay. Doesn't even really seem to acknowledge you. He's got his like back to everybody. He's just sort of digging in at this bowl.
Is Tacitus coming towards my table, or where did Tacitus go?
I'm gonna be standing near Sal.
Okay. And Crix?
I'd probably go over to Splish.
Okay. How do you want to do this, Brian?
Man, hard when it's a one-way conversation. All right.
He Splish speaks.
Splish
All of our
speaks.
experiences with Splish so far.
Splish.
Like looks over, sort of at you for a moment. Doesn't really like make eye contact. Just looks, sees you, and then he turns back and shoves another stone in his mouth.
Gents, I don't understand you. Are we able to agree that one chirp would be a yes and two would be a no?
Splash!
All right.
Shoved another stone in his mouth.
We would like to know what that thing in the water was. Are you able to tell us?
Splish sort of like hops up off his butt, turns around, looks at you, and looks at Crix. Sort of like looks past you at Tacitus standing over there by Sal. Gives it a splash. Moves over and starts to like shove his bowl of rocks further down the bar away from you. A couple stools down, and then plants back down on his butt with his back to you, and just keeps eating his stones.
That's going well.
That sounds like it's a strikeout for you.
I don't think he's going to be willing to talk to us as long as Tacitus is here. I mean, I understand why Tacitus grabbed him. I was about to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think Crix would try. So Crix is gonna slide down the bar towards
So, like
Splish.
everybody trying to appease a child.
What you got, Crix?
So Crix is just gonna kind of lean over a little bit, and you know,
I understand that it's hard to try to understand one another. You understand us. It's a little bit hard on our end. We do have somebody in the room that understands what it is that you says. We're trying to get a grasp of the situation and what it is that's down there and what happened to Fabio. Things are a mystery, and mystery things scare people sometimes. Me personally, I trust you.
Splish. Roll persuasion.
I am being very honest with him. 14.
Okay. He he turns to you, sort of like he still like eyeballs Briar and Tacitus. He sees Elwyn sitting there as well. Elwyn, are you watching this situation at the moment?
Yeah, very carefully.
Okay. He does look at you, Crix. He grabs one of the stones from inside of his bowl, gives you like a splish, and it like moves to hand you the stone.
I'll take it.
He picks up a stone himself and puts it into his mouth, like staring at you the whole time.
Oh, nice. Better eat that stone, Crix.
Blinks at you a couple times, standing there waiting, staring at you.
I'm trying to think of something here.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to. I'm gonna have to make a nature check to see if Crix would know. I'm pretty sure he would. That's 12.
What are you checking for?
To see what animals eat rocks.
With that, you can't think of any specifically, but you know that there are some.
Incredible.
I kind of tap out the table just to see.
It's just, yeah, it seems like a rock. It's not very big, you know. It's like a little smaller than a golf ball, maybe.
A little?
It's a little smaller than a golf ball.
That's not very big.
Sure, I'm sure Splish is eating bigger rocks than that.
Yeah, they just sort of disappear into him. He hasn't even ever seen Bachu. He just inhales them.
I look at Switch and I go, all right, I'll eat it. All right.
Splish
Let's try.
sort of like tilts his head, continues to stare at you.
He's waiting.
I take the stone. I'll put it near my mouth, put it in my mouth, and I'm going to turn into a seal lion. And I'll swallow it.
You turned into a sea lion? Is that what you said?
Yeah, a sea
Okay.
lion.
Just in the middle of the bar, we just see a sea
Yep.
lion spawn. Elvin's just gonna facepalm at this moment.
Everybody sort of looks in the direction of the sea lion, then just goes back to what they were doing. Like nobody ever just seemed like
Nobody
very
cared.
impacted by this. Yeah. So you turn into a sea lion and swallow the stone.
Yeah, they're one of the few animals that actually eat stones.
Splish squints at you for a moment, like he's waiting for something. But he leans back and he sort of just blinks at you a couple times. Splish. Grabs another stone and puts it in his mouth, and then starts walking down the bar towards Sal.
I come out of seal form. I just kind of like put a hand on my stomach and goes, I am going to feel that in the morning.
Yeah,
And then I'll head over.
For a moment, he turns around, he runs back, and he starts to drag his bowl of rocks down the bar with him.
I'll help him if he's passing me.
You want to like pick up the bowl?
Not if it seems like I'm stealing them.
Well, I mean, do you want to try to pick up the bowl, or how do you want to help him?
Oh, I'll ask, do you want me to carry those over for you then?
He glares at you for a moment, splish, and sort of shoves it in your direction.
Okay, I'll do it.
He quickly grabs a couple of them out, though, as you do.
Okay.
But he does. He hops off the bar and heads over towards Sal. You're still hanging out over here, Tacitus?
Yep.
Elwyn, are you still hanging out there, or you want to?
I'm gonna get up and like just get closer.
Okay. Sal sees you all approaching, and he sort of just like angles his arm down, puts it on his fist on the floor, and lets Splish sort of like hop and sort of shimmy up hhis arm onto the arm of the chair. So, see, you reason with the little fella, huh?
Only it took eating a rock.
You look like you eaten worse.
I probably has.
Well, what would you like me to ask the little fella? Or you just ask him, and I'll translate for you.
I'll give Splish his little bowl of rocks
Okay.
and ask,
Sort of sets it
what
down in
was
Sal's lap.
Alright. What was that, Splish? What came out of the water?
Splish. Looks over to Sal. Goes splish, splish. Little fella says, "What was what?"
The shadowy figure that was in the water.
Splish, splish. Waves his fins a couple times. Says he's not sure. Could have been a sea turtle.
What did you say to it?
Well, little fella. Splish sort of looks at you. He goes splish, splish. Says he asked it not to hurt his friends. I think he means you.
Thank you, Splish. That was very kind of you.
Splish, splish. Sort of like wags his fins over in Tacitus's direction and glares a little bit. Well, little fella says you were a little inappropriate.
Damn, that's crazy.
He would like an apology.
Tassus is going to laugh at that.
He Splish immediately picks up one of the stones and tosses it at you. Connects with your chest.
I think he wants you to eat it as an apology.
That's not going to happen.
Well, it looks like he's none too happy with you. Guess you want me to ask him anything else? You wanna? He seems pretty dead set on want an apology from you, but aside from that,
I'm
Ellen's
going
look.
to specifically speak to Sal.
okay.
And I'm going to say, I guess I'll say to Sal and to the others, don't trust it.
You get a very like
You think
disgruntled, like splish, and he sits back down on the arm of the chair and starts eating stones.
we should trust the thing that was trying to speak to the creature that was coming out of the water, the creature that was well over 100 feet wide,
Sal gives a
that
couple big
the
puffs of his pipe.
trees were warning us about?
The trees were warning you. What did you see out there?
I'm a druid. I'm able to talk to plants and such. Maybe you have.
If you believe this thing is innocent, you are bigger fools than I thought.
Damn.
Perhaps you can make head or the tails of what I'm going to say. Maybe even splish.
Anybody have anything for Tacitus on that?
Nope, ignoring him.
Okay. Briar and Elwood?
Staying quiet for now.
Owen is still standing a little bit back, just watching the situation.
Okay.
So, do you know of any large creatures that might be in the river? Pretty big, like 100 or so feet. Likes to lurk. The trees warned that she was coming.
She.
It was
What were you saying, Briar?
nothing.
Okay. Sal, he leans back. He's like, she, you say? Can't say, we seen any creatures that large coming up down the river. I don't spend much time on the water myself, but, in all the years I've been here, which has been quite a few, I've never really seen anything that large, at least not in the river, maybe further south. But, if it was something the trees were scared of, that's, worries me a bit. See, we got a bit of an agreement with some of the beings beyond, you know?
Right. They had also mentioned a cloak figure, one that apparently really, really likes to lie. The trees were very worried that we were associates with this fellow.
Mm. We get a lot of cloaked figures in here. Maybe you can ask around.
Well, apparently, I would assume it would be one that holds some kind of power of aura, such. Maybe like a demigod or something of that nature. Maybe I'm a little bit off, but the trees were very worried about this figure.
Interesting. Sounds kind of ominous. I don't know if I like the sound of all this, truth be told.
Yes, I thought maybe a god of some sort, given the situation that's happened with probably the Tenaris. I would assume that would be something to look at, but it could also be, you mentioned, or rather, I know that there are Fae in the area, and it could be a trickster in their nature.
They don't much come up out the Vale, cause trouble. They don't cause trouble up near my parts anyway. And as far as any gods are concerned, we got an agreement with Nylea.
Nylea. I'm gonna make a history check.
God of the wild, god of the woods,
My
dominion
page.
over the natural world. You don't have to make a check.
Give me a sec. Crix. Well, I guess that would fall under religion. Why not?
Yeah.
A 20.
Yeah, you didn't have to roll for it. I mean, Nylea is a very commonly known god in Theros. It's the god of the hunt, god of the wilds, trees, natural things. You looking for anything in specific? Crix?
We
There
lost
we
him.
go. There we go.
What do you mean? There we go.
My headset died.
Oh, gotcha.
Whoops.
Did you catch what I said?
No, not
Okay.
after I said I'm gonna make a roll.
Oh,
That
okay, I
was
got you.
so quick.
Yeah, I was telling you don't even have to roll. Nylea is a very commonly known god within Theros, god of the hunt, god of the wild, the natural world, like trees, woods, that kind of thing. Beasts and wildlife within the woods as well. She's very protective of. But if you wanted to roll for some specific piece of information regarding Nylea, you could do that.
Mm. The only thing I could think of, would nature itself be scared of that?
Of Nylea? No, absolutely not.
Then no.
Splish.
Splash.
To better understand each other, are you able to tell us where you came from?
Splish. Splish. Sal kind of looks at him and regards him for a minute. He sort of makes noises and, dips around, flaps his little fins for like a minute or two. It seems like the little fella doesn't quite remember. Says he's got a job to do.
Can you tell us what that job is?
Splish. Splish. No, he says it's quite the secret.
Who gave you this job?
Splish. Splish. Says his friend.
Can you tell us who your friend is?
Sort of gives like a very low sound that you haven't heard Splish make before. He turns around and looks at you. Splish. Oh, nope. He doesn't want to tell you that. That's angrier I've ever seen a little fella.
So, Splish, since you have a job that you have to do from a friend that you won't tell us who they are, can you understand why we might not trust you?
Splish! Turns around and like eats another stone. It seems like he doesn't care very much about your trust. I reckon he still wants that apology. He looks over to Tacitus.
Tacitus says nothing for the moment.
Okay.
If Tacitus apologized, would you tell us anything about your job and your friend?
Splish. Well, I think he said maybe.
I don't think Tacitus will agree to a maybe.
Okay, I think at this, Tacitus is going to say, I am going to be very blunt. Why do you care more about this than your friend who we found murdered?
Splish!
You're saying it's to Briar, I assume?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
DeBrier.
He,
I don't care about
okay.
it. I'm talking to
Okay.
Briar.
Sal throws his hands up, still pipe in his mouth. Okay.
Because he could potentially give us information in regards to what happened.
You think that after all these answers, he's willing to give us information after what he said before? You think any of that's going to be valuable?
Do you have any other sources?
No. But if you
Ellen's
think
gonna-
that this is fucking worth it, then I don't know what to say anymore.
Ellen's going to speak up here and kind of look at the both of you and say, so I clearly wasn't there, but why did that thing retreat? It could
Because we
have attacked
ran.
you all. And was there something that stopped it from chasing after you?
Crix.
No.
Crix actually
Decided
kind
not to.
Crix kind of actually would have Crix noticed Splish doing what he was doing? I think only one
No,
that saw was Briar.
you were full elk, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say anything.
So
well,
yeah, you didn't.
Tacitus told us
Tacitus told you what happened, yeah, but you didn't like witness it yourself.
So potentially this thing might have continued to chase you all until this very end, unless this little creature hadn't said something.
I think that's a stretch.
Maybe, but I'm curious.
Sadly,
Why?
we don't know what he said.
I don't know why such a powerful thing would suddenly turn around. That is more concerning to me than any of this.
Sal's just sitting there smoking his pipe while Splish just eats stone after stone.
Either way, I don't necessarily have any investment in whether we decide to trust Splish or not. It doesn't really matter to me. I've been trying to gather information about our next steps, and that's what matters to me in this moment. But I'll let you two talk about this further if you'd like.
If you feel that strongly about it, then we can abandon it.
So we should leave things till the morning. I think tiredness and whatnot is maybe clouding some minds. Maybe a good night rest would help.
Owen just says, look, all we know right now is that this little thing was on Caesaris the last time we saw it. The Caesaris ended up here somehow, was struck down. This thing is the only thing that's made it out besides. And then Ellen looks over to the woman who's Isaiah and just says, besides her. And clearly it knows things about the beings that are at work here beyond our understanding. So if we want to try and get information from it, I think that's a fair play. And if we decide that we want nothing to do with it, I think that's also a fair play. But I don't think we need to make any binding decisions right in this moment.
You weren't there, Elwyn, so I'll fill you in. It looked like we never even crashed. There was no sign of the ship. There was no sign of any blood. There was no sign of us. The only thing that was there was the body.
You should know by now, Tassus, the kind of beings we're interacting with at this point. Those things don't sound too improbable in terms of what they can do. If what we're dealing with is a god or one of a god's minions, erasing our tracks seems kind of paltry in terms of its capabilities.
Problem lies with the information of a cloaked figure is the one that killed Fabio. The trees say it lies. And when I asked about the tracks, it said it lies, which means that it erased the tracks.
Probably. I'm sure that figure, that cloaked figure, has something to do with the thing that chased you all out of the water.
Maybe.
At this point, Sal kind of leans in, sets his pipe down. Yo, want to tell me a little more about why you're here? Because this has all sounded pretty worrisome to me. Gods and all that.
Never mind. We already incited him.
Yeah.
He's just worried about the end.
Well,
You
Sal,
were thrown into the underworld by our captain.
This,
is there a more private
Sabat?
place that we can speak?
Oh, you can trust everybody here.
All right.
but yeah, we were thrown into the underworld. We made our way out of it. We landed here. That's the gist of it.
I think he's going to want more than that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate some detail. What gods are you talking about here? Because it could cause me some trouble.
Well,
Erebus specifically is after us.
Yeah, that's worrying.
I don't know if the thing that this cloaked figure that these trees are talking about is necessarily an associate of Erebus, but it could be. Or it could be some other god. Who knows?
And the Theros was struck down by likely Heliod.
How many of these gods did you piss off here?
Well, we only pissed off Erebus. I don't know about these other ones. However, what our captain has been up to, nobody knows. Not that we've seen him in a while, but I can assure you we haven't come here to do any harm, and that we'll only be here momentarily while we get some rest and hopefully be on our way to our next destination.
Sort of leans back, picks his pipe up, gives another couple puffs. You sure you're not bringing all kinds of trouble to my doorstep now, yeah?
Well, I sure hope not.
I'd like to hope not either.
And where do you mean to go after this, huh? Tell me that.
Well, that's what we're planning to discuss, I assume, tonight. We've got two options, I think, in terms of directions, but until we sit down and really talk about it, we won't really know where our next destination is.
Well, if you got gods chasing you down, I don't know where you can go.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn to Sal.
Okay.
You understand why I'd be worried about this. And I point to Splish.
Well, this little fella? I mean, I guess, considering y'all seem like you've been through a lot. Tell you, his flesh is that of Nyx, their plane. I'd
I
say
look back to the
little fella's entirely made up of it.
I look back to Spell. I'm going to sort of wander back over there towards Fel's table.
Okay.
Say, hey, Fel. Do you happen to know anything about that creature over there?
Directing at Splish.
Yeah.
Sort of looks over, squints a bit. Not never seen anything like it before, but where'd you run into this little guy?
Would I have heard that?
Yeah, it's close
I-
enough.
Tacitus would laugh hearing that.
Well, I assume you just heard all of our discussion over there.
I wasn't really listening.
Let's just say we picked him up in the underworld.
in the underworld, you say?
Yeah, like I said, we've been on some adventures.
You picked him up like a fare.
Well, he kind of tagged along with us. And he's ended up here on his own accord, but we ran back into him. I'm curious because he does seem to be a creature of Nyx, so I thought you might know something.
I might have been born up there, but I don't know much about everything. He's definitely of the flesh. I'll tell you that. Spawned of something of that realm.
Are you able to understand what it says?
Maybe not.
I see. Well, thanks. Sorry for bothering you.
Goes back to drinking.
I'm going to walk back over to the rest of the group. Just say, he might be a creature of Nyx, but doesn't seem like the most common type. Either way, I say if if you're very against communicating or speaking with this creature, then we drop it and we focus on more important things like where the hell we're going.
What's it gonna be?
I mean,
I'll take silence as a yes, and then I go back to sitting at an empty table.
Briar's gonna go upstairs and find an empty room.
Okay, so you're just gonna walk away from this and go find a room.
Yep. Oh, actually, before that, she's gonna ask Crix if she can borrow his mandible.
Yep. Crix will hand it over.
Okay.
Thank you.
when she leaves, let me think. I'm trying to think of how I would phrase this to Sal. I think I'll say to him, I understand your desire to want to keep these people safe. And I know how we speak and the stuff that we've been involved in is concerning, to say the least. If we are not welcome, then I think it should be unwelcome also. That is all I have to say about this. If we're still here, I thank you for, I guess, choosing to take that risk based on how you've reacted to what we said. But at the very least, I wouldn't endanger others just from appearances, I guess.
I appreciate the sentiment. You're all welcome here, you and the little creature. You know, I'm a neutral party here. I don't know which one of you is right, which one of you is wrong. But
That's fair.
we do have our own means of protection. Again, we have an agreement with Nylea via emissary of the goddess. Our little patch here is protected. So should anything try to encroach upon this, as long as you don't have quarrel with Nylea along this list of other gods that y'all pissed off, made upset, or whatnot.
I don't think we've ever upset Melia, hopefully not.
We are under her protection here.
I doubt any other gods would encroach so carelessly onto the turf of another god.
Generally, no, we've never had a problem. Though
Especially
I've never
one
had
such as Melia.
anybody come through here and say they slighted one. Neither. But
I wouldn't say we did so intentionally, but circumstances be what they may.
well, I'm not going to tell you who to trust and who not to trust. I'll talk to the little fella for you, but I don't know much about him, honestly.
Well, thank you for translating for us, at least.
Yeah, no, I don't mind.
Alvin sort of looks at Tacitus and say, well, while you are all out there doing things, I did gain some information. Particularly the route we would have to take if we wanted to pursue the Phoenix Stairs path. And I will say it's sounds more dangerous than many of the things we have done so far, so... And that's saying something.
Um,
What you got?
I think Tacitus is probably mostly just going to brush it off and say, how would I phrase this?
Crix, you're still at this. You're still here, right? With them.
Yeah.
I guess I would probably say something like, I don't even want to think about whatever this mission is anymore. And he's going to walk off to the bar.
Okay.
Owen sort of lets out a sigh and says, very well then. He's going to pick up his greatsword and just sort of like step out of the inn.
Out front, like outside?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just trying, like, he's going to step out to get some fresh air, basically.
Okay. And as Tacitus is heading towards the bar, Crix, what are you doing?
I'm gonna sigh, kind of rub the side of my temple. I'm gonna look at Sal and just go,
Thank you for the translations and whatnot.
and I'm gonna look at Splish and go,
I'm gonna grab a room. You are more than welcome to crash in mine.
Still eating rocks. He's almost out of them, but he turns over them. Splish. I think that was a thank you.
Yeah.
At this point, so Tacitus, as you reach the bar, that individual over there is still like muttering to himself. Sort of like for a second stops, looks over and just glares at you directly. That's this
Do I notice him glaring at
individual
me?
here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss. He completely stopped all of his mutterings and is just looking at you.
I'm not going to turn to him. I'm just going to say, what?
He sort of like stumbles off his stool, almost falls over. Like never takes his eyes off of you, and walks up to you, sort of like looking about at you.
He doesn't say anything?
He's sort of like he's checking you out completely, like almost like he recognizes you.
I think I'll give him a few moments of just staring and then just say, well.
Do you turn to look at him at all?
No.
Okay, so you're still just mostly ignoring him, but just
Yeah.
he leans over. He's trying to get a good look at your face.
Okay, I'll turn to him if he's trying to peek his face in front of mine.
His eyes go wide as saucers for a moment. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir," and he kneels down respectively. I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
Tassus is gonna shake his head and say, "I don't know what you're talking about," and
Ishido,
I guess
sir, I
motion.
served your father and you in the war.
There you go.
I'm just gonna motion to the bear and ask for a mug.
Okay. Bear slides you one. Immediately fills itself up with a darker kind of an ale.
I'll drink from it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Respectfully, may I rise, sir?
Yes, sure.
Stands up. He pulls the blade off his back, it's still in its hilt. He just pulls it off and he holds it down, just hand to hand in front of you. It's my blade still serves you and your father Shimatsu, sir.
Boy. Okay. I think he'll squint and say, "Where did you hear that?"
Sir, where did I hear what, sir?
Shimatsu.
It's my lord, your father. I don't. You look different. I didn't recognize you at first, but looking closely, I see you.
I think I'll say, "We'll talk later. I want to enjoy my drink in peace."
But, sir, I ask your forgiveness.
I don't think I can grant it to you. I don't remember you.
I could not protect your father.
Did you listen to what I said?
But the Silver One betrayed us. I'm sorry. Can I have your forgiveness, please? I serve you.
Fine. If it'll get you to leave me alone.
Sir, what are your orders, sir?
Tacitus, I think at this point, is going to be very firmly gripping the handle of this mug.
Okay.
And say, "I would like to enjoy this drink. Do not speak to me."
Sir, yes, sir. He puts the blade still in its sheath back on his back and walks back over to his stool and sort of glares into his mug back what he was doing. After a few moments, he sort of begins those same mutterings, quiet, unintelligible mutterings. Enjoy your drink in peace? Maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless someone else decides to talk.
Nobody else seems to bother you. Elwin, so you've made your way outside. It's pretty quiet outside. Nobody's really out there.
I'm gonna sort of go around to the side of the inn. And then I'm going to pull out the greatsword and just take a moment to study it and then just start swinging it. It's getting some practice swings in.
Okay.
I'm just gonna really focus on my swings and just moving this blade.
Okay. And Crix, have you moved off and found a room?
Yeah, by now I would.
Okay. Did you want to find your own room, or did you want to go after where Briar was?
No, I would probably get my own room and probably set up something off to the side, kind of like almost like a beanbag chair or something that like Splish comes in, he can just kind of plop down on.
Okay. So, Briar, you found just a couple doors were closed. The first one that was sort of cracked open. You found a nice empty room.
Okay.
They're very like log cabin like. Everything is just candlelit on the inside here. There's no windows or anything of that nature. Pretty small room, but there's enough space for you to like set up and do your thing.
Yep. I will set up and do my thing.
Okay.
Yep. Extract the poison from the 2 mandibles.
Okay. And you're just settling in for a long rest at this point, right?
Yeah. My other plan is to meditate with the knives, the
Okay.
Shorikai, or no, the Saiba. Saiba is the
Yep.
knives.
Okay.
Yeah. So extract the poison and then meditate with the weapon to try and attune to it further.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Elwin, on the outside, I need you to roll perception for me.
Oh god. 19.
Okay. You notice a little bit of movement out of the corner of your eye as you're sort of moving around with this blade, and you see Splish sort of just like seems like back to normal, not angry, just trudging off down the path.
Do I see what direction? Towards the beach.
Yep, towards the beach, the one you came from.
I'm gonna stop swinging my blade. And I'm gonna try and follow after him very carefully.
Okay. So you want to like stealthily move up with him?
Yeah, keeping my distance. Just want to see where he goes.
Okay. Roll stealth twice for me.
Alright, first one is a 16.
Okay.
Second one is a dirty 20.
Okay. So he doesn't seem to notice you. He's just sort of padding along. Moves down the path. Seems to angle into the trees, sort of in the same area that you guys had arrived here on. He walks basically like right down the beach and just sort of directly into the water and disappears under the water.
I'm gonna watch for a little bit.
How long are you gonna wait?
Give it like 5 minutes.
Okay. So hanging out for about 5 minutes. Nothing really of note happens. The water is very still. Specifically, Splish does not come back up.
Do I spot the dark thing that they were talking about earlier?
Not at the moment. Looking out at the water, you can't quite make out any sort of dark presence or large presence like there was previously.
I'm gonna give it like another 10 minutes of watching.
Okay. So after another 10 minutes, there's a little bit of a disturbance out in the water. See, looking out in the distance, you see Splish sort of poke his head up, look about for a moment, and disappear back into the water. A few moments later, he just comes padding out and moves back up through the trees in the direction of the inn.
Mm-hmm. And I don't sense or see anything dark in the water right now.
Not currently, no.
Once Blish has headed back towards the inn, I'm going to sort of venture down to the beach and approach the water.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and see if I spot any fish.
Like hopping out of the water, or
Just anywhere in the water that I can see.
Okay. I'd say roll perception for me.
17?
Okay. Yeah, you spot every now and then you'll see something small push by along the banks of the river. Nothing too big.
I'm going to use Speak with Animals and try and communicate with one or two of them.
Okay. What are you gonna try and say?
I'm going to say, did you see the creature that just jumped into the water from the beach a moment ago.
Hold on. Let me double check something. I don't really know if you can talk to fish but speak with animals, because it's more. But I'm
It
gonna double
says the
check.
knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at
Yeah.
minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby location monsters, including whatever they can perceive or have perceived within the past day.
Fish fall in there.
So I guess in this sense, I'm not really asking them for like too much information, but rather just what they can perceive or have perceived.
Yeah, they're like very simple little like fish or tiny little creatures. What was your question for them again?
If they saw the creature that just jumped into the water
I'd
10
guess
minutes ago.
I'd say you definitely get sort of a response that you would guess would be a yes.
I'm gonna ask if there's anything dangerous in the water.
Another yes.
Let's see. How can I ask this in a way that is simple? Did the creature that just jumped in the water approach the dangerous thing in the water?
Another yes.
Okay, good to know. Now that I'm closer to the water, do I see any dark shadows?
No.
Okay. Alright. I'm gonna just like thank the fish. And then
Okay.
I'm gonna go back towards the inn.
Okay. So you lost track of Splish. You sort of wandered off. As you reach the pathway again, you don't see him anywhere. Just make your way back to the inn.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the inn, still outside, still where my old spot was a minute ago, and just go back to like focusing on my sword practice.
Okay. How long do
Studying
you
the
want
blade.
to? Do you want to just like roll that into your long rest when you're ready to go crash?
Yeah.
Okay. So like spend as much time out there doing that and then going up and crashing, basically.
Yeah, he just wants to spend time getting used to this blade and just like
Gotcha.
getting closer to it.
Okay.
And he does so by swinging it.
So Tacitus, you're the last one here. You're still drinking.
Yeah. At this point, I think I'm waiting for, I guess, the tavern or like the lower air, like I guess the common area to mostly empty out, or for the disheveled dude that was talking to me, to look like he's going to leave. I
Okay.
guess whichever one comes first.
Yeah, you sit there as things get dark. The sun goes down. The disheveled gentleman does not leave. He just sits there staring into his mug. The rest of the place is starting to clear up. People are moving up the stairs onto the balconies into rooms of their own. Sal himself hasn't moved. He still just sort of sits where he's at, taking everything in. For the most part, he just kind of sits silently watching. He never stops smoking that pipe.
Okay. I'll like wave over to the cloak to the guy. I don't know his name still.
Okay. He told you his name.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he told you his name.
In character, Tacitus did not give a fuck.
Ishido. Yeah, maybe you forgot it, right?
Yeah.
But as you gesture to him, he's still just like staring into his mug, muttering.
Is that ISHIDO?
Here, I'll type it in.
I guess I'll call over to him.
No response. He just stares, muttering into his mug.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up and force him to look at me.
Okay, like physically grab him.
Yeah.
Okay. Sort of looks a little confused at first. He's like looking you over, sort of in the same way that he did last time. Before, like after a few seconds, his eyes again like bulge out really wide, sort of the same way they did before. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. Oh, my lord! And he tries to like get off the seat and get to one knee again. Do you allow him?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he moves again. He falls to one knee, reaches behind him, grabs that blade still in its sheath again, holds it out the same manner he did before, with his head sort of hung low. It's like, my lord, I serve you. My blade still serves you.
You don't remember that we talked?
The last I saw you was on the battlefields as your father was killed and betrayed. I tried to protect him. I did. I swear I tried to protect him.
Stop. I'm like, as he's talking.
Okay. Yes, of course. Yes, sir.
When's the last time you saw me?
It was in the battle. It was he seems like very confused, lost, sort of stumbling about in his thoughts. It was
Your name is
just
Ishido, right?
Ishido, sir. Yes, sir. I serve the house of your father, and you, of course, I still serve you.
My memory escapes me. Tell me about what happened during the battle.
We were betrayed by this Silver Celestial. Your father was killed. Struck down with a golden lance.
Who is the Silver Celestial?
He again seems like struggling with his memories. Sort of like he's definitely like he still sort of has his hands held to this blade held out to you in respect, and he's like not making eye contact, so like respectfully looking down on his knees.
Can I I'll take the blade from him.
Okay.
Like if he's offering it to me.
Yeah, he's sort of just like holding it up and offering it to you. Sort of looking at him and the blade itself, you definitely recognize his sort of armor, even though it's like tattered and torn in places and looks sort of very old. The blade itself, the hilt is damaged in places. It's got holes in it. The sheath is damaged and worn. You recognize that there's a bit of a resemblance to Kavala, the goblin that you'd met in Agonis. Especially with the blade. The blade and the blade that Kavala had held are very, very similar, if not identical.
Okay.
But he allows you to take the blade, and he's still sort of like struggling with his memories. It was the Silver Celestial, a great beard. It was of a ranking family. He betrayed us. He was the rift sealed, closed. Your father was. I'm sorry. I tried to protect him. Your father, Shimatsu. I tried, but I was too late. They were too many, too strong.
You did what you could.
I still serve you. What are my orders, Lord? Will we retaliate?
I need to think about what you've told me.
Of course. What would you like me to do? Still respectfully on one knee.
Yeah, you may stand. You can just stay on guard, I suppose. And I'll just hand his sword back to him.
Thank you, sir. I will. I'll defend your life with my own. Of course.
I don't need you to do that. I don't want you to do that.
It's my duty to your house and to your father. I tried to save him. I tried to protect him. He's still like looking very confused back and forth, blinking a lot.
I don't have any knowledge of. Tassus wouldn't have any knowledge of this shit.
Just the bits of like what you saw in your quote unquote memories with the elder gods.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, more like, is this like a magical thing? Like, I mean,
Right.
he would assume that it's something weird going on with his like memories. Yes. Sorry, I forgot your duties.
You see like
Tell me about.
as you're like sort of thinking about how to address him, you see he's like seems to be getting like further and further away, like he's drifting.
Like physically?
Like mentally, like you see him sort of struggling. His words sort of slow down, and he's glancing back and forth. His eyes are glancing back and forth very quickly. And
I'm gonna like snap my fingers in front of him and say his name.
sir, yes, yes, sir. What are my orders, sir?
At ease for now.
The Silver Celestial. Your father. I tried to protect him.
I know. You're
How-
forgiven.
How can I serve you?
Just stay at ease for now.
Yes, sir. Will we retaliate, sir?
I believe so. Not now, though.
I'll be ready.
Okay. Does he? I'll just stand up after that.
Okay.
Sal is still there, you said?
Yeah, he's still there.
I'm gonna walk over to him. I'm assuming that Ishido is like just sitting there still.
Stands there for a moment, sort of looking back and forth, and then inevitably just sort of like falls back onto the stool behind him and slowly spins around, looks back into his mug, and starts muttering again.
I'll approach Sal and ask, how long has he been here?
Oof, him. I'd say he's been here at least since my predecessor, my father, ran the place. Generations. Never leaves that stool. He's one of these outsiders, you know?
No, I don't.
Well, they got some sort of connection with the Feywild. They every now and then one of them stumbles out or stumbles in. They got problems with their memories. They say they're from some other place. They are old, ancient, even. Hard for me to say. I don't know much about them, but for the most part, they're all lost in their ramblings. Some of them a little more aware than others.
So he's not human.
Looks human.
But you said like your father was the one that ran this place when he was here. So that's what, like 10, 20 years?
More like 2,000.
2000.
At least.
I see.
We usually just leave him be. He doesn't do any harm to anybody, so we just let him sit.
I'm guessing I'm the first one, or one of the few people that he's ever talked to.
Oh, he spoke to you? Yeah, no, I've never seen him speak to a single soul.
Yeah, he spoke to me, all right.
What'd he say?
Would Tacitus trust Sal enough to mention this shit?
A good question.
He thinks he used to serve me.
To serve
He
you.
thinks he used to serve my father in some war.
Who's your father?
Some minotaur.
It's a Minotaur. Oh. Well, I'd
I
say
don't know who this is.
unless you're a lot older than you look, he's maybe just a little crazy.
Maybe. You said more. How many are, I guess, you said more of these outsiders exist in the Feywilds. Have any of the other ones ever stayed here while you've been the proprietor?
There were a couple stayed here for a time. They got collected by some or another, taken into hiding, from what I understand.
Collected.
Yeah, I believe there's something or someone in the wilds that protects them. I believe the gods aren't a fan of these outsiders.
Well, I suppose we have something in common, unfortunately.
It would seem.
Do you know anything about how this collection takes place, or
No,
any
unfortunately.
details about it?
I don't know anything about it. I just know they were here, they were gone, and from what I understood and what I was told is that individual collected them, took them somewhere else.
And they just left?
Yeah,
Or did
no, they just
this
left.
individual, this collector, come to the tavern?
The collector did
Or
come
come
here,
to the tavern?
yes, and left with them. Yes.
Oh. What did they look like? Or
Uh,
what
I
did it
never
look like?
I never saw this individual, but I know they were of the
Oh.
Feywild, emissary of somewhat important down there.
Sorry, I don't know anything about the Feywild, if you can believe it.
I know very little myself.
When you say an emissary, is the only emissaries I know are the ones of gods. Is it a similar concept?
It's a similar concept. I know that there are kingdoms within the Feywilds, and they are run by powerful individuals, not quite as powerful as the gods themselves, but they're old enough and powerful enough, and occasionally they send their minions out here to make deals and whatnot.
And I'm assuming the last person that has had contact with one of these emissaries was your father.
Indeed, I've never dealt with them myself, although we have long-standing deals with some of them, and they provide things to us for information and such.
I suppose this is a rather long shot of a question, but did your father ever keep any notes or anything about these emissaries or these outsiders?
I don't think so. He didn't really like paperwork, if you know what I mean.
Understandable. Um,
You know, some of the other travelers here might know a little bit more than me. Every now and then they come through from the wilds themselves. Some of them are on their way. Uh, might have more
is the
information for you,
Feywilds a place?
so to speak.
I guess like the underworld is a place.
Yeah, it's dissimilar of the underworld. It is not a god realm or a Nyx realm, but it is a realm of the Fae. Gods don't step there, from what I understand.
I see. Hmm. You said you had contacts in the Feywild that you sometimes that you have agreements or that you trade with, right?
Well, we have a great many agreements with individuals down there. I don't speak with them very often, if ever, but
I see.
they make their deliveries. We pass on information or things that they request from us.
if I wanted to repay your generosity for letting me and my acquaintances stay, would you need help with anything, like dealing with these acquaintances?
No, you wouldn't want the trouble with that. Trust me. You might find yourself dragged down there and never return.
Well, of anything else, then. Like I said previously, I don't want. It doesn't sit right with me to not help in some way when you're offering lodging and provisions to us.
I understand. I never really ask anything of anybody, so I wouldn't know what to ask for your help with. If I think of something, I'll let you know.
Okay. Fair enough.
I appreciate your will to help as well.
I'll just nod and say well, thank you.
He nods to you and just goes back to smoking his pipe.
No one else, I'm assuming, is up at this moment in terms of like the NPCs.
So the Splish is still there.
Who had entered in previously, or I might
Yeah.
not have noticed. Right?
Yeah, sort of like while you were conversing with Ishido, you can probably assume, or maybe before that even,
Okay.
just you hadn't noticed while you were drinking. Splish is there. He's got a bowl of stones. He's just on the floor in the corner by the door. Aside from that, the bear, the barkeep, is still there, present and reading, and that Nyxborn Leonin is still just sitting there, sort of solemnly. Aside from that, the bard, the cat bard, is just passed out asleep on a table. Everybody else seems to have retired off.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna head upstairs and find a room.
Okay. So yeah, you head up the balcony. You want to find just a private room for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Are
retire
there
for the.
locks on the doors?
Some of them are many of them are closed. There are several that are like wide open or creaked open. None of them seem like they lock or have locks.
Okay. I'll go inside one of the open ones. Is there a way for me, like, I guess, what does the room look like inside?
It's a very small room. I think there's no windows. There's a bed. Looks comfortable enough. Some sort of like feather bed. Aside from that, there's a couple chairs and like a small sort of like love seat / sofa looking thing to sit on. Just basic seating.
Is it
And a small little end table
possible?
by the bed.
Is it possible for me to wedge something such that the door is not openable from the outside?
You can shove the like sofa type seating in front of it. It's probably the easiest way.
Sure. I'll do that.
Okay. And then retire for the long rest?
Yeah.
Okay. I also should have mentioned that Ishido character was still at the bar as well.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So, Elwyn, when you're done spending your time working with your blade, you retire to a room as well.
Let's see. Do I want to do anything else? Yeah, after spending my time with my blade, I'm going to just find a room and collapse onto a bed.
Okay. So, everybody calls it. You complete your long rest. You can all get everything back that you need.
Nice.
You complete those tasks. As far as your weapons and the time that you spent with them, Briar, you get the sense that there is still something about this weapon, like it's trying to communicate with you, but in the time that you spend with it, like on top of the mandible work and such, you're not able to really connect with it enough to get exactly what that is. But you feel
And
like you're
then,
close.
a side question, if I'm able to
Sure.
decipher it. Does it seem like it wouldn't be happy if I put poison on it?
Oh
Um,
boy.
man, roll.
Arcana.
Roll nature.
Nature.
Your blades just melt, sucking the poison on them.
I could just like get pouty with me. Damn, my reliable talent can't save me on this one. 11.
It's definitely a hard read. You don't get a sense that there'd be any adverse reaction, but you're not sure.
Okay.
Elwyn, for your time with your blade, you also you feel like you're close to sort of accessing more information about the blade, but you're also not quite able to during this rest. But you do, again, you feel like you're close to something, you feel more connected with it, and you almost feel like you can communicate with it, but you're just not quite there yet.
Okay.
I'd say in that time that you spend doing it as well, you feel the ire of your other two blades.
Uh-huh. Fair enough.
No outward effect of that uh, as of yet, but it is something that you pick up on with your connection. You feel sort of like the emotional anger of both blades.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody else good for your long rest?
Mhm.
All right. So you wake back up. Everybody want to make your way out of your rooms?
Yep.
Okay. Nothing happens in the night. Tacitus, you don't seem to, like, your door doesn't seem to have been disturbed or nobody tried to push in or anything like that. Heading back outside, Splish is nowhere to be seen. The inn itself is still pretty packed with individuals. That cat is sort of like slowly playing a little tune, not trying to sing this time. The Ishido is still there, sort of muttering to himself. Doesn't look like he moved a muscle. As well as that, Nixborn Leonin still there as well. Drinking every now and then, just taking things in, leaned back casually. As well as Saul. Saul is up on his feet now. He's sort of up at the very front. The door's open, and he's sort of looking outside. What would you guys like to do here?
Whenever I woke up, I would have just headed down to the bar to get some food.
Okay. Yep, there at the bar would definitely serve whatever you'd like.
Owen's not going to leave his room immediately in the morning.
Okay.
He's sort of going to just take some time to meditate and just think on his next actions.
Okay. Crix? Still with us, Varn? Hope his headset didn't die again. we'll
Possibility.
bounce to Briar. Briar, what do you do in the morning?
With Sal at the door looking out, does it seem like he's concerned?
Not necessarily. As you sort of like move out and sort of approach it where he is, doesn't seem concerned. Seems to just be taken in the morning air, maybe.
All right. Glance outside to make sure he's not looking at some huge thing coming up the path, and then I'll go get breakfast.
Yeah. There's two more individuals outside that you sort of see. He's not really looking at them. There's a Kenku and a Satyr, and they seem to be tethered together by a very like orange like beam. Let me give you an image of these two. They don't seem to be in pain from this or anything of that nature, but they are obviously like tethered together by it, and they seem to be having a conversation amongst themselves, unrelated to Sal.
Interesting. I go get food.
Okay. Are you with us yet, Varn?
Yeah, I was getting a drink in the other room.
All
I
good.
have my headsets on.
All good.
So for Crix, I'm going to take a look to see if like the little area I kind of set up for Splish was disturbed in any way? If he had maybe came in during the night?
Nothing looks like it was touched.
Right. I am. Yeah. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna head outside.
Okay.
That's
Sal
gonna be
nods
my.
to you, like as you pass by him.
I'll give a nod. As I kind of go by, I'll go. Uh, did you see if maybe Splish came in last night, or maybe left this morning, or something?
Yeah, he came back in last night, and I believe he's right over there. He points off in the distance, and Splish is sitting out, sort of like at the edge of the path, maybe 20, 30 feet away from the entrance of the inn.
Okay, good. Yeah. Crix is gonna reach into his bag and pull out the other bag they had, the one that's probably crusty and whatnot with clay and dirt on it,
Sure.
and kind of like holds up his finger and be like, "I'll be back in a little bit," and I'm gonna go in the opposite direction and start collecting some rocks.
Okay. Any particular rocks, or just
Rocks in general,
okay? Small rocks, big rocks.
rocks of all sizes.
Okay. And how many are you looking to collect? Like, what's the weight of the rocks you're trying to carry in here?
Enough to fill the bag, so probably like somewhere around 35 to 50 pounds.
Cool. Okay. And you're heading north away from the inn, correct? Like the opposite direction of the way you came?
Yeah, not super far away.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm trying to stay like a little bit out of the sight of like Splish and where he's at currently.
Gotcha. Okay. And Elwin, how long did you want to stay in your room before you come out? How long did you want to meditate?
Not too long. I think he's probably headed down now. Before he leaves this room, he's going to pick up his two short swords and sort of look at them. And then he's going to equip them and his greatsword and walk out of his room and head downstairs.
Okay. And Briar, after where did you finally rest here in the morning?
Well, if Tacitus not still pissed at me, I'll go eat with him.
You can go test the waters, I guess.
Yeah,
So you go and sit down next to Tacitus.
I'll go sit with Tacitus.
What's the vibe, Tacitus?
Does Briar say anything?
I'll say good morning.
I'll grunt.
I won't force him to talk.
The bear behind the bar walks up and sort of just glares at you. Briar.
I mean, for food, have I seen other people eating things?
Yeah, Tacitus is eating right now. Just some sort of stew or porridge of some kind, it looks like.
All right, yeah, I'm not gonna be picky. I'll just ask if I can get something to eat.
Sure. Yep. Bear reaches out of the bar, pulls out a bowl that just fills itself with the same sort of vegetable / meat substance. Smells good, looks edible, and drops a mug in front of you, and sort of like nods you. What do you want to drink?
Some red wine.
Sort of just taps its finger on the top of the mug and it fills with the red wine.
Breakfast wine.
Hell yeah.
Ishido is still there, muttering at the other end of the bar. Aside from that, everything is still pretty like calm and quiet this morning. So yeah, you make your way downstairs.
Yeah, he's gonna plop down beside Briar.
Okay.
And nod to the bear and just say, "A little breakfast, please."
Provides you with the same sort of holds the mug, about to set it down, just looks at you. Waits a moment. So what do you want to drink?
Oh, I guess I'll take some ale. Why not?
Taps it, sets it down in front of you, and steps back to lean behind the bar.
I'm not really gonna say anything. I'm just gonna start eating my breakfast.
Okay. So y'all spend a little time eating in awkward silence. Crick's outside collecting rocks. So
Scary, isn't it?
you're able to do so without any real interruption. You see a couple individuals pass by. You see that Triton return on the back of that turtle. Uh, sort of passes by, sees you sort of collecting rocks along the side of the road, smiles at you, gives like a nod and a little half salute as he passes by.
I'll give a nod back and a slight wave.
So keeps smiling and turns and continues down the path. You see him sort of stop in front of the inn and tie the turtle off and move inside.
All right. How long would you say it'd probably take me to fill that bag?
Um, you're not looking for anything specific, right? Like any specific
No,
signs, just
I'm
grabbing
just,
whatever's
I'm
nearby
just,
until you fill it up.
yeah, just whatever,
Okay.
whatever looks edible.
Gotcha. Yeah, about 20 minutes or so, I'd say you can spend perusing the rock selection.
All right.
Remind me, did we as a group ever talk about our visions?
Very little. Like as you exited,
Rick's never mentioned his.
I think
yeah,
we all acknowledged that we had visions.
yeah, you talked very briefly. I don't know if you ever went into deep details. I don't think you ever went into deep details. But after your interaction with Sevian and you sort of escaped before you met Benavera again, you just had like a very brief exchange acknowledging the
Yeah.
fact that you'd all sort of seen similar things and recognized each other in some spaces. And I think that was it. And Crick, did you just want to move back inside the inn once you were finished with your rock collection?
Yeah, kinda, sorta. I might head back to the inn. I want to see if I can catch glimpse of Splish still being out in the same area or not.
Yep. He's got his back to you. He's sort of just like looking out into the trees.
Okay.
There's as you reach like the doorway over there, this small little guy that you'd noticed the map reader exits and moves north up the path past you. Doesn't seem to acknowledge you at all, but just continues like north up the path.
Does he seem like he's got his head in the map still, or?
He's still got the map in his hand rolled up, but he seems like with purpose marching off in that direction.
Okay. I'm not gonna like super do anything. I might head inside and see what the rest of the group is doing.
You clearly see them all just like sitting awkwardly eating, basically.
Okay. I'm gonna I'll look at him for a moment and go, if anybody needs me, I'm going to be outside. Maybe give me like 10, 15 minutes to myself.
Whatever you say, Crix.
Well, get more into you too. And I'm just gonna walk back out.
And what are the three of you doing here?
Once I finish my food, I just sort of like sipping on my drink. And then I'm going to look over to Briar and Tacitus and say, so, should we chat about our plans soon? Perhaps when Crix gets back, we can have a discussion about what we're doing.
I believe that would be good.
Tacitus?
Yeah, we need to talk.
You want to wait for Crix? Is that the vibe?
Yep.
Yeah, we're just gonna sit
Okay.
here awkwardly drinking our drinks until Crix returns.
Okay. So Crix, you make your way back outside. Splish is still just sort of standing there on his own.
I'm gonna walk up to the. I'm gonna walk up to Splish. I'm gonna have a rock in my hand. I'm just kind of like jostling around my hand a little bit, and I'll come up on the side of him and go, "Hey, Splish, morning."
He looks over at you, flaps his fins for a second, and splish.
So, and I'm gonna kind of like crouch down, and I'm gonna give him a rock.
Expectantly takes it and just puts it right up into his mouth. Stares at you as he's swallowing.
Right, Splish. You trust me, right?
Cocks his head to the side a bit. Splish.
It's been up if you do trust me. And, Crix is going to make a motion with his arm and hold it up.
He lifts his fins not quite all the way up, like halfway. Splish.
I mean, come on, Spans. I've had your back this whole time and whatnot, you know? I like you. You're a good guy. Though there's a language barrier between us. You understand us not so much. So, Crix takes the big bag off of his back and puts it down and makes kind of like a little show as it like hits the ground and you can hear the rocks kind of jaggle and stuff.
Okay.
So, here's the deals. I will give you this big bag of rocks. I know you can get them from the inn, but I took the time to pick these ones out for you.
Peers like into the bag, tries to get a look at them.
I'll pull the flap up a little bit so you can see him, but as soon as he tries to go for him, I'm going to close it real quick.
He does immediately like move to grab. Like he looks at you. Splish.
No. This is part of a deal. All right?
Splish.
That it's nothing that's going to harm you or do anything bad or anything. All right?
Splish.
This is trust between the two of us. I will give you this big bag of rocks that I took time to pick for you. I just want to do one thing. And all you have to do is trust me complete. That's all. No harm, no nothing, no bullshit, no other party members needs to know anything. All right?
His eyes squint a little bit. Sort of like tilts his head, looks at the bag, looks at you. Splish.
I'm not sure if you agree or not, so Crix kind of holds out his hand out, kind of like a fist bump. If you agree, just tap my hand. That's all.
Slowly spins his side to you. All four of his fins on the side lift up, and they just all sort of like slap down your fist slowly.
All right. Yeah, good dude. I tap him on the back. I cast
Splish.
polymorph.
Oh. What are you trying to turn him into?
I'm gonna turn him into a turtle. I am curious to see if he trusts me enough to let it go through.
Splish turns into a turtle.
Cool. As soon as I see him turn into a turtle, I smile and go, to trust. And I will form myself into a turtle.
Okay.
And from one turtle to the other turtle, I say, highs. Now we can talk to one another without a third party.
Turtle looks at you and goes, Splish.
You got to be fucking me.
Splish.
You thought.
Okay, I know you're fucking with me because I know for a fact this does work.
Splish.
There are magics at work here that you do not understand.
This, okay.
Have you
He's next
have
to
you
the
ever
bag. He's playing the bag over and over like a head against the wall.
have you ever seen a turtle sigh?
That's so good.
I'll just stop for a moment, look at him, and go, "You're seriously not fucking with me, are you?"
Splash. The turtle starts walking towards the bag of rocks.
Damn it.
Uh,
I'll pop myself out of the turtle form. Sigh loudly. All right. And then I'll kind of give him a tap and dispel it.
Okay. Pops back out. Immediately moves to like open that bag of rocks.
I let him.
Puts himself like halfway inside. You hear him just like munching rocks. For a moment, he pops back out, looks at you. It's like gives you another tilt. Splish.
I was hoping to have a one-on-one conversation. That's what I was hoping, to be able to understand one another fully, without anyone involved. I don't know
He
what your business.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know exactly what your business is fully. It's a bit curious that a Nyx person happened to be down in the layers of the underworld. Just trying to figure out things.
He pulls another rock out of the bag, puts it into his mouth, but he lifts up with his opposite fins on his opposite side, sort of like flaps them in the direction that you had come originally. Goes splish, splish.
You talking about past the tavern?
He hops up and he begins to like drag the bag in that direction. Splish, splish. Sort of like beckoning you as if he wants you to follow him.
I'll pick up the bag, but I'll let him like kind of like pull on the handle to like drag me where he wants to take me.
Okay. All right, so you're just gonna let it follow Splish.
Yeah.
Okay. Rest of the party, it's been a while. You haven't seen Crix.
Oh man. Should
Owen's sort of
we
like tapping
look
on the
for
table
him?
impatiently, and he's like, I don't even want to think about what kind of trouble he's getting himself into right now.
Looking in that direction, Sal is still sort of like at the doorway, with the door open. Do you guys want to?
Himself.
What's
What?
I said he can handle himself.
that? Should we just not wait for him?
Probably not.
All right. Well, we can go find a room or something to talk in.
Is that what you'd like to do?
I'll follow your guys' lead.
I'm gonna look at Tass's first.
Yes.
Oh, just wondering if that's okay with you.
I haven't voiced any opposition to it, have I?
Not out loud. And then I'm gonna walk towards the stairs.
Okay. So you can easily find an empty room up at the top of the balcony. Close yourselves in.
Alright, well, I kind of mentioned it a little bit yesterday, but I was speaking with the Leanin downstairs yesterday. He told me the entire path to Nyx, and it involves not only Gorgons and Medusas, but also a volcano and a dragon. So, and then on top of that, we have to pass a god's trial. So that's kind of what that path is looking like for us. Open to any other ideas of what we want to do. Seems a little too dangerous, in my opinion. But I guess I'm open to whatever.
Again, so far for Elwyn, the only known method of reaching your father is that path.
Yep. Although Owen is considering the possibility of us dying on that path and
For
not
sure.
succeeding in it at all.
Anybody else have any input?
I'll glance over at Briar.
I think it might be worth it.
Why?
Because what fucking else am I doing in this godforsaken life? We're separated from everybody. There's no good way to get back anywhere. We've been given all of this insight into things that may or may not be true, depending on how you feel. I think it's worth exploring.
On the topic of that, we did learn a lot about ourselves, didn't we? That's Underworld location. I'm curious, should we chat about some of the things we might have seen? Try and consolidate some information. Of course, I won't pry if you want to keep it private. I assume at the very least we all saw about this war that happened.
Yes. A war that we lost.
So I assume we were all on the same side then.
I'm like,
But I
looking
do
through my
know-
notes, trying to find that.
I think we were. Owen's gonna add on and say, I do know about the reason why we lost that war. And actually a bit of my own personal motivation right now. I guess since we traveled this far together, I'll be forthcoming with you. And the reason we lost that war does happen to be my own father.
How
Does the
so?
word silver relate to your father in any way?
Silver. I mean,
Something about a beard.
potentially. What I do know is that he is the one who betrayed all of us.
That was a part of your vision, Owen. But whether or not you want to reveal that is up to you. If Owen wants to reveal that. But that was a part of your vision.
Yeah.
Your initial vision was
Yeah.
Silverbeard.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna just be like, it's likely one and the same, the individual you're speaking of. But anyway, he betrayed all of us, and I don't think I ever forgave him for it, for as long as I've lived in any of my lifetimes.
I'm curious to learn more about it. It seems like we're being offered a way back.
Well,
Fine.
if we want to pursue that route, if we want to get closer to the source of the betrayal, to understand what happened, we will have to go to Nyx.
I don't think so.
What do
Why
you
you
think,
s-
Tacitus?
Why do you say that?
The one at the bar, his name is Ishido. He remembers some stuff as well. He's also been here for over 2,000 years.
So he must have somehow. How did he live that long?
Yeah, what is he?
He's known as an outsider.
Ah, that's what the Leonin was talking about. Those outsiders that come here sometimes.
Of which this inn sees a few of them, and they occasionally get collected by emissaries of the Feywild.
So it's possible that more people from what I assume is our original world are currently residing in the Feywilds.
Did he say why
Why what?
they're being collected?
He didn't know. He had never experienced it in the 2,000 years that he's lived here.
Well, I assume if they were beings that came directly from that world, unlike us, who I guess are reincarnations of sorts, I'm sure the gods don't look favorably upon those outsiders, as they called them. Maybe the Feywilds is where they've gone for protection. But who's helping them is the bigger question, and why?
And so do you have any proposals with this information?
Me?
Anyone?
Well, I guess the
Merely
bigger
providing
question
an
is,
alternative to climbing the stairs.
do we want to seek out the truth of this matter? Because if that's what we want, then, as Tacitus says, there are two paths ahead of us. One is to venture to the Feywild, which obviously comes with its own risks, while the other is to climb the Phoenix Stairs and find the seal that is on my father, the Nyx world.
What are you guys thinking?
Tacitus is mostly just being silent at this point.
I, for one, would prefer to take the path to the Phoenix Stairs, because at least we have information on what lies on that path, whereas the Feywilds are a little bit of a enigma, to me at least at the moment.
We can also still continue to gather information on the Phoenix Stairs, as well as potentially what counters the threats that lie along the way.
Well, I did learn about what counters some of them, particularly the Medusas. As that Leonin, who has attempted to climb the Phoenix Stairs, was informing me, you can use their reflection against them. They mainly use petrification, so if you use their reflection against them, you can get them to petrify themselves. The Gorgons seem like a more straightforward matter, though they do have minions and such, but it would just be a battle. We'd have to fight our way up. Then we'd
Which
have
I
to
think
make
would
our
be at
way
least
to...
expected.
Yep, we'd have to make our way to the volcano, where a dragon resides. Try and get past that, make it up to the shrine or the temple, and take on a god's trial. It's a perilous path, no doubt, but one at least in which we know what dangers lie ahead of us. Whereas the Feywilds are wild. Impossible to know what sort of insane things we might face. So that's where my vote lies. I vote we climb the Phoenix Stairs and we take on that challenge, but I will happily agree to whatever the party wants to do.
What kind of information is like common knowledge about dragons?
About dragons,
Yeah.
they're big and they are dangerous. Depending on the type of dragon and how old it is, obviously the danger increases. Some dragons are a little more sentient, conversational than others. Some of them are a lot more wild and ravenous. There's a lot of different kinds of dragons. Usually they stick
Okay.
to their elements, so you can assume the dragon within the volcano is of that element.
All right.
Ice.
Yeah, obviously, definitely an ice dragon.
Yep.
If you get in the middle of it and it's all ice, then yes.
An ice volcano.
That is a thing, but that's for another time.
We just know it's a volcano. We don't know what's in it.
Dragon, evidently.
You definitely know it's a fiery volcano, and there's known to be a phoenix that
Yeah.
rests atop of it, which is why it's called the Phoenix Stairs.
I think I would be of a mind with Ellen.
So if you're going diplomatically, that's 2 votes for the stairs.
Convince me that it's worth it.
May not be worth it for you, but for me at least, it's aligns with my goals of what information I'm trying to find. Brings
What
me
would
one step
be
closer to my revenge against my father. But again, if there's even one person against it, I won't force the matter. I know how dangerous it is, so
what would
I'm
make
searching.
something worth it for you, Tacitus? What do you want?
I think that's for you to offer to me.
Would you like to stay here and just leave? Part ways with the party?
Possibly. We were in the underworld. We're out.
What did you see in your vision, Tacitus?
What does it matter?
Did it at all make you wonder about anything, or is it just something you're disregarding as a thing in the past?
Sure. It made me it confirmed some thoughts I've had about the gods for a while. But we all know they're bastards.
So
All
you don't
right.
necessarily care to learn anymore.
So there's a couple of things here then. One, the gods specifically sealed away the realm that we were supposedly from. And so breaking this seal and opening that door again would be a giant fuck you to the gods. The other
I don't
thing,
believe that we can do this.
I believe we can try. Whether we can achieve it or not is unclear yet.
we do have weapons that give us an advantage against the gods.
I'm not concerned about our weapons.
I won't call this a sure bet. That's for sure. I won't say that we can absolutely succeed, but it is something that we can try to achieve.
The
But
other
again,
thing that this could potentially achieve is, at least from what I understand of my vision, we have been trapped in an endless cycle of reincarnation with less than ideal lives. This could potentially break that cycle.
I for one don't like only knowing part of this original story of my life. That small vision I had was not enough. I need to know more. But if that doesn't convince you, we can't force you to come along. So it's up to you.
No, I suppose you can't.
I assume we'll stay here for what? Briar one more day, perhaps?
We certainly want to collect as much information as we can.
Yep, there's a limited number of patrons here we can chat to, and so one more day of information gathering. And so I guess, Tacitus, you have some time to decide. And obviously we'll hear what Crix wants to do as well. Perhaps he wants to stay and part ways also.
Is that all you have to
And
say
then
about it, Tacitus?
Elwin's just
Yeah.
going to stand up and say, so I guess that's that. And then he's going to exit the room.
And Briar?
I appreciate the guidance that you've offered all of us, Tacitus. You're an incredibly trustworthy and dependable ally. I would be sad to part ways, but I would understand. And I shall leave.
Okay. Tacitus, you staying in there?
I'll depart the room also. No reason to stay inside of it.
Okay. So you all make your way back down to the bar area then?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Owen's gonna like exit the inn, and just like sit outside.
Briar?
Who's in the bar?
At this point, Sal has moved out of the front door, and he's sort of back in his chair. He's having a conversation with the bear from the bar, from behind the bar. There's nobody currently behind the bar. The Leonin is still there currently. The two individuals that were outside, the two that were tethered together, they are currently inside and sitting at a table, just, conversing among themselves. The Triton that you have recognized from being outside of the tavern is now sitting at the bar, drinking. The
Okay.
cat bard is still there, not singing at the moment, just playing a very light tune, as well as the small little fox individual that you'd seen, sort of one of the first creatures you saw coming off the beach, is also currently still here.
I'm gonna go to Sal and ask, aside from the Nyxborn Leonin, if he knows if any of the current patrons are familiar with the Phoenix Stairs.
It'd be tough. Probably have to ask around. I don't know too many people that make that journey. Most try to avoid the Phoenix Stair.
All right. Well, we'll ask around.
Hey, your friend was acting a little weird out here. I don't know if you know anything about that.
Which friend?
The one that was feeding rocks to your little friend.
Crix. Yeah, he's weird.
They sort of turned into turtles and then change back and wander off.
All right. They turned
Do with
into
that
turtles.
what you will. Just thought
Do you
you should know.
know where they wandered off to?
South down the path.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Just thought I'd pass that along. Tacitus, where did you go when you exited?
I think I'll probably just be sitting at the bar.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to do anything else here within the tavern before we go to Crix?
I think I would go to Elwyn, because he stepped outside.
Yes.
And tell him that Sal told me that Crix turned him and Splish into turtles before turning back and walking south down the path.
So Alvin, having adventured with Crix in the past, kind of just lets out a sigh and face palms and says, "Oh, he's up to his usual antics." I'm sure he's not doing anything too dangerous. I hope.
Well, if he doesn't show up in the next, I don't know, 20 minutes, perhaps we should go after him.
All right.
Yeah.
I pause you guys there. Back to Crix.
Holy shit, this is really dangerous.
So, Splish leads you back down the same path through the tree line to the exact area of the beach with that sign heading towards World's Edge Inn. Same exact place that you've been sort of going back and forth to for a minute now.
All right.
He reaches in the bag. He sort of like stops for a moment, looks out at the water a couple times, eats a couple stones. Seems like he's waiting for something. After probably like 5 minutes of just waiting there, you inevitably see that dark sort of shape reappear out of the water. Splish looks at you. He sort of like waves his fins at you for a moment. Splish, and starts waddling his way towards the water.
Pigs.
Right. Right. Before you go into the water,
Splish.
let me ask this, and you can raise your arm if it's a yes, or just keep it down if it's a no. The thing that's in the water, is it a deity?
He looks at you, sort of like tilts his head, and he just lifts his fins halfway up. Splish.
You know, like a god, like Erebus. You know, like the things that we've been dealing with. Very powerful.
Looks over at the water, and then back at you, then over at the water, then back at you. Gives like almost what a shrug would be for Splish. Splish, and hops into the water and disappears under the surface.
God damn it! You're supposed to answer my next question, which is will it kill me?
So it disappears under the surface of the water, obviously in the direction of that massive shape out there. And after probably about 30 seconds or so, you see Splish pop up in the water in the distance. Good ways out, sort of in the midway point of the water. You can just barely see the tip of him, and you can see his fins like reach up, sort of pointing in your direction. And that shape starts to rise again, takes this massive sort of spherical form, rising up out of the water. The water itself just rising and rising and rising. Inevitably, you see large red hands begin to take form and reach their way out of the water. The spherical sort of bulge coming out of this water takes shape and just pulls back. You see the surface of the water, the riverbed, sort of get pulled off into the water and start forming into this massive wave. Creature begins to push forward right above where Splish is resting and just sort of floating as all this water is coming through. And you immediately recognize the massive form of the god of the sea, Thassa. Glares at you for a moment, and then pushes its arm forward, and that wave starts rolling towards you. And we're going to end there.
Oh my gosh.
For tonight.
Incredible.
Any questions?
Yeah, one question. What?
You know.
What?
Can I make a history check?
Would you like to?
Yes.
What would you like to know?
I know she's the goddess of the sea, but I want to. I don't know anything other than that. Like, is she like an evil patron or any of that stuff? Very neutral.
Roll religion.
Fucking A religion. A 6.
Nice. You know nothing.
Yeah, you know that's you sort of remember Thassus supposedly has a sibling amongst the gods, but you're not sure who it was. Otherwise, you have no idea what Thassus' relationships might be with any of the gods that you sort of contended with at this point.
You're about to find out wave to face.
You know that Thassus' domain is the sea, and creatures and aquatic creatures in the depths, and that's about it.
I mean, I've been bad with animals, but I haven't screwed with sea animals, so.
Well,
We'll find
add him
out.
to the list of gods that are angry at us for one reason or another.
Right?
Anybody else any questions?
I like this development of our party falling apart.
Yep, it's great.
It's going to be interesting.
How big's the wave?
Too big.
Yeah, Thassa is several hundred feet in the sky, and the wave is right about the neckline for Thassa, so you're looking at a 300-foot wave or so.
It's death is what that wave is.
I'd say Elwyn and Briar off in the distance. You can see the tips of that wave peeking up over the trees. You definitely feel sort of the force of the pull as well. Things darken up.
Owen goes back to bed. He wants something to do with it. Hit the bricks.
If
Ain't
it
about that.
sucks, hit the
Yeah.
bricks.
If Crix is involved, there's something crazy happening down there.
We'll pick it up next Saturday and find
Yeah.
out.
I feel bad for Tacitus because his frustration with like the party's choices. I'm just stupid. That's Glassy's choices.
I mean, Elwood has a very particular goal, and he's going for that goal. He's kind of like, that's where I'm headed. So I kind of expected an inevitable head bumping between the two of them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how it's playing out.
Yeah, and
You-
Tacitus didn't reveal much or any of what you had discussed with Ishido, huh? Just that you had discussed things with him, right?
I said a fair amount.
You talk about her person and
Nothing
stuff.
about
I-
like your father or anything like that, though.
No,
Not about his
I
father.
didn't talk about the connections, but I did talk
Yeah.
about the fact that like it's a known thing in these parts, and
And how long the guy's been alive
Right,
for. And stuff
right,
like
right.
that.
yeah,
There's none of the specific connections with you or with a little bit with Ellen.
no, I mean, yeah. The only thing I mentioned was the silver
Silver, yeah.
beard thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just have to talk about Shimatsu, but other than that. But yeah, I mean, I could foresee their characters clashing the way that they are. So it's interesting how it's playing out for sure.
Yeah, just got some choices to make. That's all.